It is 7:25:26. Hey, Lucky. Yeah, it was my fault. I was finishing up a movie for tonight's stream. I was working on making this show richer by expanding my own mind and becoming prepared, okay? It's 7:26 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Normally we start at 7. But, ding ding, the video store is now open and you are in a video store. Hello. All right. Well, we got pathos. What's scarier than coughing? That'd be wheezing. That's not a bad point, pathos. We do this every single week. This is a show where we are in a video store, you are in a video store, and we're how best to put this spiel. I'm trying to tighten it. Eventually, I'll have a little ding dang, slingity sling, phrasemundo. But as for now, let's go ahead and say this
You sound like me.
I know.
Ding dang, singly sling, phrasemundo.
Let's go ahead and say You Are in a Video Store is a digital space where we recreate the physical space of being in a video store that we all know, love, and miss. This is a place for us to come together and talk about movies in a world where we feel isolated and to approximate hanging out with friends and talking flicks as best we can. Yeah. As for that reason, you are always invited in the chat to tell us your opinions, thoughts, and chime in.
Absolutely. And, this is like what is that, Planet Fitness? I don't know. This is a judgment-free zone. We don't judge based on whether you've seen something or haven't seen something, if you're newer enthusiast of film, or this is all old hat for you and you just want to chat about something you love. What else are our core rules here?
We call them rules. I feel like
They're not rules.
Core philosophies.
Tenets.
Christopher Nolan's Tenet, released in theater for 5 people.
The Tenet Commandments.
The Tenet Commandments, yes. Well, like Steph said, no shaming each other for not having seen stuff. And good point, no shaming for having seen stuff. If you're like, I like Cannibal Holocaust, I'm not going to come for you. I'm going to be like, you know that they really hurt. No, it's fine. Well, it's not fine.
Did you know that when what happens in that movie with Cameron Diaz about Las Vegas, like, hey, if that's your jam,
then that's my jelly. If that's your jam, then we are jelly, because we love a tasty sandwich. Mm-hmm. Rule number 2 is, no gatekeeping. But rule number 2 is, don't judge something you haven't seen. And then finally, we just try to avoid star ratings when we can. Not a hard and fast rule. If it's your thing, whatever. But we're going to try and avoid that because we kind of think of star ratings as like a function of commerce and getting people to go see things rather than a function of conversation. So here we just try and keep the opinions liquid and fluid, baby.
Yeah, and if you saw me do this, I wasn't doing a disco dance. I was trying to figure out which way
is our warning tonight.
Tonight, if you'll look up here in the corner, we do have a TV MA, aka TV CW content warning, because all night we will be talking about our theme of the week, which is slashers.
That's right.
So if that is something that you're not feeling for whatever reason, just know that it's not. We won't be like talking about all of these content warnings we have, or TWs, CWs that we have in the corner all night. But just keep in mind that they might be sprinkled in throughout the evening. And if that's something that bothers you, trust me, I feel you. And if it's something that might bother you and you want to stick around a little bit, I'll be talking about, a little bit of feminism, a little bit of a woman's perspective. So
some Laura Mulvey.
Yes.
But we are talking about slasher films tonight, which inherently means we're going to be talking about violence and sexuality. So again, and the intersection of the two. So we will make sure that before we jump into those conversations in depth, we give you another heads up. But good call out. Finally, you can follow us on socials. First of all, subscribe to UltraLoop. We do this channel with 4 other amazing people. 2 of which just won a Best Host Award at the Cold Town Awards. We were nominated, so hey, and also the 2 other people were nominated. So I think the people who run this, 6 out of 6 were nominated for awards. So hey, excellence in broadcasting, baby.
Yeah.
So do us a favor, subscribe if you have Prime. It's free. Turn on those notifications so you get that little thing when we go live. And every Tuesday we do this. So on the video store stream, we tend to kind of go in a certain order. We like to just open it up top, talk about what everyone watched this week. We want to know what you watched. It is Halloween season, so we're doing theme weeks like Stephanie said it's slasher week, so that's what we're going to get into a little bit later. We have a movie club pick every week, which was a slasher this week, and we'll get into that later as well. And after we talk about what everyone watched, we'll get into some new arrivals. We'll show off what's new to the video store, do a little unboxing action, and then open it up. But for now, top of the show, now what we watched, I watched some variety stuff. I took a little break between Werewolf Week and Slasher Week.
Yeah.
And then we watched one thing together that wasn't a slasher.
That's true.
So we have some things we watched together, watched separately. What did you watch this week? That's how it all starts, man.
Yeah, drop it in the chat. And speaking of the chat, Adam, if you want to dive into what you watched without me, I'm going to pull up the chat on my phone so I can keep up with y'all because it's hard for me to see.
Oh yeah. Do you want me to do a little Control Plus over here? A little Control Plus action?
You know, I gotta tell you, my eyes are not.
Mine eyes
are not what they used to be.
Mine eyes are not what they used to be.
And every week I feel weird going like this and going like this, especially when one of us takes a break and it's you and I'm going, huh?
That's fair.
So
someone's calling Pathos' house at 8:30 at night. That's a horror movie.
Ooh, no.
Looks like you're in a slasher movie.
Telemarketer.
God bless. Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and start off with telling them. Jeez, these bubbly waters, man, they really do hit me. Trying not to be gross over here.
All right, I just dropped a hi, by the way. That's me. DJ_Stephanie Michelle is me in the chat.
That's you. It didn't show up on mine.
Well, just give it a sec.
We're figuring this out. Okay, cool. Yeah, what did I watch? I'll do mine hi too. That's me. What did I watch this week? Okay. Well, last week we did Werewolf Week, and oh my god, if you tuned into the show, you know that I went a little too ham. I got so deeply immersed in the world of lycanthropy that I was growing hair. Lycanthropy. I was forgetting to shave. I was howling with dogs.
There was a smell.
There was a natural musk.
There was an odor.
So after Werewolf Week was over, I knew Slasher Week was coming. We unboxed the Friday the 13th box set from Shout Factory last week, so y'all knew we were going to watch some of those. And I decided to take a little break. Sorry I'm being long-winded. So I watched some horror movies that didn't fall in any categories. Some scattershot horror movies, and I watched some fun stuff.
Real quick before you jump in, I just want to say, Pathos, we're sad you missed Werewolf Week too, and I bet you had a lot of cool, fun, tight things to say about werewolves.
Werewolves.
But we're happy to hear this week.
Hey dummy. It's good to have you. What did we watch? What did I watch rather this week? These are all slashers. Okay, first thing I watched, Blood Beach. Now, Blood Beach, I showed y'all the cover of last week or a few weeks ago when it arrived. It's this classic media VHS cover of the girl in the bikini getting swallowed whole by the beach. I loved this movie. I try to make it a habit where I don't Google movies or read reviews or read hot takes on Twitter or anything until I've seen them, just because I don't like to have anything colored a certain way going in, unless it's unavoidable, you know, it's a Marvel movie or something. Blood Beach, pretty easy to avoid spoilers for in 2020. So after I watched it, I Googled it and I found out people hate this movie.
Really?
Yeah, people hate it. Now there's a critical bias against horror. I could rant, but let's not do that tonight. I could go off. I won't. Critics have a bias against horror, and every horror movie is misunderstood to some degree. Which is, again, why we don't do star ratings. Anyway, I'll shut up. Blood Beach, though, really low ratings across the board, but not just from critics. Like, I don't have a Letterboxd account, but I can read your Letterboxd reviews, and people are like, "Oh, snooze fest, boring, 70s, but stupid."
You were all about it.
I really, really liked this movie. I didn't think, like, I've seen a lot of snooze fest 60s and 70s horror movies that are just boring and too much talking and filler, no plots. This was a very, very well done Jaws ripoff. I love the tongue-in-cheek premise that is the beach and not the ocean that kills you. But even beyond that, there were some gorgeous wide shots of the police procedural plot, which John Saxon's a part of, going on with views of the beach in the background. Similar themes of small-town corruption going on. Really, like, satisfying effects for as simple as they were. And I gotta say, there is a creature at the end of it. This is a monster movie, actually, and the creature at the end of it really freaked me out. Like the idea of this thing being below the sand. I think if I'd seen this as a kid, I would have been afraid to walk on the sand, which for me, mission accomplished for a horror movie. So Blood Beach,
Can I
Big
say,
wreck.
Y'all obviously I didn't watch Blood Beach because this is what Adam watched, not what we watched together. And unfortunately, I didn't watch any movies on my own this week. I had a busy, weird.
70s busy lady.
Well, we're both busy lady, but I just want to say my only takeaway from never having seen this movie is that this color palette is my jam.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Look at that. Look at that. Like beautiful eggplant, cranberry, this kind of bright but not too bright yellow. I know that's not why we're here, but I just had to say it.
It is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Gotta love a tape. Gotta love a tape. Okay, well, we had some before I keep rambling about the stuff I watched. We actually had some people chime in. So,
all right.
Pathos says you were going to go into a massive gush fest. That's a tongue twister. A massive gush fest. Massive Gush Fest is the name of my next album about Werewolf the Apocalypse lore. I don't know what Werewolf the Apocalypse is, so please fill us in. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
Is it a board game? Is it a RPG?
What if it is a tabletop?
Sounds like it might be.
Thing.
Okay, and then Great Job Nerds has a few movies he watched. Watched Dagon. We've talked about Dagon on here before. My Stuart Gordon heads. Dagon is a monster movie. It's a creature feature, which we might make our theme this week. We'll see.
I've got some theme ideas.
Yeah, I want to hear yours. I have nothing.
Get those stirring.
Have you seen Dagon?
No.
Well, you've seen Reanimator, though, right? It makes you deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the one I can't bring myself to watch, but maybe I will.
It's a comedy.
I know. That doesn't matter to me.
Well, we watched Dolls together.
Dolls was great.
Okay, so it's the same writer or director producer combo made Reanimator, Society, Dolls, and Dagon, which is another H.P. Lovecraft adaptation because Stuart Gordon's known for that. Nightmare on Elm Street, hell yeah. Sixth Sense, I haven't seen that in a while. That movie's great. And then Wolf Creek and Scare Package.
Oh, Scare Package! Sorry, I was like, I was showing off my Disney bounding.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Creep me out a little bit. And Scare Package, which you're in.
Scare Package, yay! Yes, I'm so happy you finally got to see Scare Package. Great job, nerds. Feels weird saying that, but
let us know if y'all prefer that we call you by your screen name, if we know who you are, if you want the anonymity. You just tell us.
That's awesome. I'm so happy you watched it. Yeah. I don't know what to say. It's kind of a slasher. It's a slasher.
Yeah, it is.
This segment is a slasher segment.
It ends with a slasher. Your
slasher
segment's not really a slasher. Oh, it is, isn't it?
It is. It's like a slasher slash creature feature kind of.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There's Goo Guy, and then it's also comedy.
It's kind of a werewolf
it's
movie.
Kind of a splatter thing. There's a lot.
It's a lot of ideas.
You know?
Dagon, Vineet, Great Job Nerds. You can call me Vineet. You can call me Vineet. Okay, cool. Thanks. That's easier. Really like Dagon. Evil Dead vibes in terms of how campy, fun, and stupid. It's been like a decade for me, but
fun.
I'd agree.
That sounds like a fun time.
It's fun. I actually was thinking of ordering the Vestron release of that. We can watch it. Wolf Creek. Okay, did you watch Wolf Creek because you thought it was going to be a werewolf movie? I'm curious. I love Wolf Creek, but very bleak and sinister, and I get the point that bad stuff happens and sometimes it's never followed up, but that wasn't enough to make it a good movie to you. Oh, interesting.
Now, what is Wolf Creek?
Wolf Creek is... the thing is, like, I feel like... I don't know how many people have seen it, you included, and I think Wolf Creek is a movie that is best left...
unwatched.
No, I
don't know.
I love it, but I think it's best left unexplained. I don't think you should know anything going in.
Okay.
Personally, I don't know. What do you think, Vineet? I don't want to say too much about Wolf Creek because I love its turns.
Ooh, Holden Wook, no spoilers, but how was the new Invisible Man?
Yeah, Will, also let us know if we can call you Holden Wook or if I can use your real name. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. We're going to actually talk about that later, I think, as part of our slasher breakdown.
Oh,
because comedy slashers are definitely on the table. And the new Invisible Man. Yeah, sorry, just doing my chat.
Oh, no.
You can call me Will. I love that.
You can call me Vineet.
You can call me Al. It's a song.
You can call me anytime you need me, I'm always here.
Were you curious about Invisible Man?
I am. Will, I'm curious about the Invisible Man. Pretty creepy. I'm a little scared that it will be, speaking of CWTWs, a little too much for me.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued.
Vineet loved it. Will said pretty creepy. Do y'all think, I haven't seen it, but it looks like it's very much focused on, to your point, on like a kind of a domestic violence angle for a metaphor for abuse. Would you say that?
Too much for my GF? Okay, good to know. Good to know. Maybe we should do a little research before we dive into that one.
Fair enough.
And you know what? There's no shame in taking a break or even walking away if a movie starts getting too intense for you. That's totally fine.
Yeah. I'm going to make a stupid joke here, but it's true. I walked away from Temple of Doom for 15 years after the heart got ripped out when I was a child. And I still love Indiana Jones movies.
And I made it through Hush.
You did.
That movie had me watching the reflection in the window through my fingers with a blanket pulled up to my nose. I was like 3 ways of like, nope. But I made it through.
Great slasher.
And it was great.
Actually, would Hush be a slasher?
I think it qualifies.
Do you call it a slash? Okay, because there is a body count. I was thinking like if it's just one-on-one, it's kind of a cat and mouse or a home invasion movie, and that's a different genre, I would say.
Yeah, it's a small body count, but there's a body count.
There is. It's really bummer in that movie. They really make you like everyone too.
Yeah, it's really scary.
Speaking of the Invisible Man, here's a fun bit of movie trivia. The Invisible Man, and here it ties into Slasher Night too. The kill count of every movie killer in history across their franchises. Now, Jason has the highest kill count of any movie character, but Jason also has 12 movies. Number 2...
Unfair advantage.
Number 2 with, I think, 2 movies is The Invisible Man. The original Invisible Man.
Ooh.
And most of it's from the first movie, 1933. The Invisible Man, 33 or 34. Because in it, when he loses his... Have you seen this movie?
Right. He kills a bunch of people at once,
yeah.
Right?
It's a mass murder. He loses his mind and goes mad with power, and he derails a train and laughs as it goes off the tracks. And apparently the calculation is 123 people dead in that scene. So The Invisible Man has the highest kill count other than Jason.
Okay.
That movie's horrifying. And can we shout out Kevin Bacon and Paul Verhoeven for Hollow Man too? Are you a Hollow Man fan?
I saw Hollow Man. When did that come out? Early aughts, late 90s?
I would say, yeah, I think it's 99.
Yeah, I saw that movie around the time it came out and have not seen it since. And I only remember one scene.
Oh, the assault scene? Yeah. Yeah, well, it's Paul Verhoeven and Kevin Bacon, so...
How's that for my brain picking and choosing?
Yeah, right. And Vineet did make a great point about, just to take it back to Wolf Creek, it's Outback horror. It is Outback horror. That's kind of like...
I want a bloomin' onion.
Your hat would go pro... What are your favorite Australian horror movies, by the way?
This is like
Aussie
Freddy
movies.
Goes to Australia.
Freddy Goes to Australia, mate. Here's the joke. It goes... That's not a knife. These are knives.
Oh, that's good.
Damn. Vineet said he can't say what he thinks is good about Invisible Man without spoiling it.
It's a really feminist movie, though. Okay. You know, like I said, no harm in giving it a go, seeing what happens.
Yeah. You can always read. There are reviews. Maybe we should find a resource for people to watch this show. Because I know there are websites that'll tell you the triggers without spoiling it.
Yeah.
Just so you're prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously it's gonna... And by the way, if you're just tuning in, because I saw we did have a few people just join us, this warning tonight, we will make sure to shout out when we're gonna get there.
Am I pointing at
you are. You point towards me. But the...
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, it's hard. I could never be a weatherman. The trigger warning, content warning is there because tonight's theme, which we'll get into a little deeper later, is slashers, and we can't really talk about that without talking about sexual violence to a certain extent. So we will get into that later.
At the very least, the idea and intersection of sexuality and violence and the interplay of those two things in the genre of slasher.
And that's when Dundee murders the hell out of Krueger because he's Dundee. Vineet, Wake in Fright. I need to see Wake in Fright too. It's on my short list.
Don't you have that?
I do. It's somewhere around here. We need to watch it. Aussie horror. Let's talk about Brian Trenchard Smith for a second. Brian Trenchard Smith made a series of great Australian horror movies. One of my favorites is called it's called Denon Drive-In. This is a post-apocalyptic Mad Max style movie. But it's like a drive-in theater that's run by a fascist government, and they make it like a party zone, like go get laid, toke up, watch movies here at the drive-in, but it's all locked, and once the teenagers get inside, you're locked in, and it's like a Thunderdome.
That sounds like a perfect formula for a slasher.
It's not. It's more like a post-apocalyptic, like, his movies all Australian movies don't fit into our molds as much, but especially this guy. Escape 2000, another great one. It's basically a Most Dangerous Game, but it's a Most Dangerous Game plot, but it takes place in the future, and some of the hunters are like mutant wolf people and stuff. It's just bonkers fun.
Pathos says it sounds like Laser Quest.
Laser Quest. That was a fun place. I don't know if that Laser Quest could be a movie.
Like a laser tag?
Discovery Zone. And then, of course, The Loved Ones is, I got a shout out for Aussie horror. The Loved Ones. Maybe my staff pick this week. We'll see. Put a pin in that. The Loved Ones. It's a horrifying prom movie. Really scary female villain. Creepy stuff.
Well, not to be like, TikTok, but we are on what we watched. Technically, we're on what you watched. So you've got Uzumaki, Mallrats, Return to Horror Heights.
Don't spoil it all. I've only talked about one of them.
On. Well, okay.
And I'm engaging with what everyone over here has watched. There's no TikTok.
I'm just saying you have 4 more, and
it's
then
organic.
We have 6.
Well, it's organic, but that's part of our slasher thing. We actually only have 1. We only have 1. Well, I would love to hear any other thoughts on stuff y'all watched. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, love that movie.
I do want to see The Loved Ones. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Laser tag place they often did, overnight lock-ins where you couldn't leave and it was fun but creepy, but not in a great part of the neighborhood and there was weird shit going on outside. That sounds like you need to watch Stage Fright from 1987 by my man Michele Suave, student of Lamberto and Mario Bava, or rather, I'm sorry, Lamberto? I forget. I think Lamberto's the boomer and Suave's the Gen Xer. I don't know their ages. Stage Fright, great movie, great slasher. We'll talk about Italian horror and how it relates to slasher soon. Okay, I will dive in. Although, I want it to be fluid with everybody.
Well, yeah.
There's no time limit. We're trying to get to 3 hours and we've only been on for 25, really. Okay, anyway. I hear your point.
Adam's like, oh, now I realize perhaps we should move on.
No, I was saying we could easily spend another half hour in this section of the show.
Oh, I know. Let's do it.
Okay. I watched a movie called, well, now I feel rushed.
No. Take a deep breath. There's no rush.
I watched a little indie film from the 90s called Mallrats. I rewatched Mallrats, y'all. Now, Holden, look, I remember watching Mallrats at your place on VHS tape back in the day, and I know that we loved this movie. I know that if you were a teenage boy at some point and you saw this, you probably loved it, especially if you were the right generation. I gotta say, it's not a good movie. It's just not, and I think everyone who made it knows that it's not a good movie. And I also think that, it also bombed. I was watching the Arrow re-release. I'd never watched this movie on anything but VHS, so it was actually pretty fascinating to see a high def version of it. Parts of it still made me laugh. And I would say they're earned laughs, but they're silly. The Stan Lee superhero stuff feels so quaint now because we're all so well acquainted with it. And back then it was really like, oh, we're going to talk about comic books and Stan Lee. For the nerds, they'll get it. And now it's like Stan Lee's just as famous as Chris Evans. Well, maybe not, but more famous.
Yeah.
So
what was the part that made you laugh the most?
The part that made me laugh the most, I wish I could pull it up on here. Oh, and it's okay if it's not a horror movie. Pathos. I'm talking about Mallrats. History of the World Part 1. We should have a Mel Brooks week sometime soon. I haven't seen that movie. I don't think I've ever seen that movie all the way through. The part that made me laugh is when Jay is showing his. I said this last week. I'm not going to do a line read right. I didn't watch it last week. I showed the.
Oh right.
It's maybe do it again. He's like, I would do it. Jay's explaining the plot and it's on his blueprint and he goes, run at him with a fistful of quarters. I would do it, but I pulled my back out humping your mom last night. Niche. It's just Jay Muse's delivery.
Right. It's the unboxing last week when you got the blueprints in the... Okay, now
it's clicking. I was really inspired by the special features because they are so aware of how much they failed and the retroactive on how much money they lost and how high of a high they were on from Clerks. Because Clerks, I think, at the time was the most successful independent film ever. And then Mallrats just tanked.
Clerks set a new...
changed the world.
As far as independent filmmaking is concerned, really and truly.
It did.
Yeah.
And then you go to Mallrats and you just are like, never mind. And everyone was disappointed. Sophomore slump embodied, but inspiring because hey, those people. It's not, Kevin Smith is still working and independent, and doing what he wants. So as from an artist perspective, and you know what, it's fun. It's a fun late night movie to watch. A late night movie. Young Frankenstein. Hey, look, we got 2 Mel Brooks.
Nice.
Got 2 real Brooks heads in the chat here. 2 real Mel boys. Okay. Uzumaki. I watched a movie called Uzumaki. It means spiral in Japanese. I don't know if you can stream or watch this movie. I'm going to stunt on y'all a little bit, but I got homies who got hookups with bootlegs. You can probably pirate it. I just don't know how to do that. I know how to do this. I know how to old school pirate. So anyway, a friend of mine online sent me a bootleg of Uzumaki. I've been wanting to see it for a little while now. It is a 2000 J-horror movie based on a manga by the same name, and it is a series of small anecdotes and short stories woven together about a small town that becomes obsessive and destroyed by spirals. Some of it is really on the nose, and some of it is very CG in the movie, like a girl growing out her hair into spirals that bounce around. Some of it is very subtle and creepy. There's one tracking shot of a girl outside of a building walking, and I noticed just the bottom tiny left part of the screen was swirling a little bit, following her. And people like get obsessed, like they kill themselves by getting into washing machines. They want to become the spiral. And to me, there is this horrific nature of the spiral in terms of like, have you ever seen art that children... Have you ever seen that like art that's like, Timmy had a near-death experience and this is what he saw and he drew it?
Yeah.
And like all over the world they all draw the same thing and it's a spiral. Mm-hmm. It felt like that sort of mysticism of like, ooh, I'm not supposed to be looking at this.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely another one that you watched on your own this week, but you did show me visuals of the Uzumaki graphic novel. Or is it a graphic novel?
I think you could call it
manga?
Whatever.
Manga?
Yeah. I think manga.
And they're very unsettling.
It is.
It's unsettling.
It's very like it actually
It's like
images remind me of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
What's that thing where people don't like all the little holes?
Oh yeah, it's like that.
It's like that.
Here, I'm showing you pulling up an image for you. Like here's the girl. Here's the girl in the hallway with her hair.
Fashion Week. Milan.
Like here's the let's see if I can find the person who jumps into the
Should I pull that up on my phone and show it in the...
Yeah, sure. Here, look at this.
Ugh.
It's gnarly, it's freaky, it's spooky, it's scary. What can I say? Vineet says, unpopular opinion, Tusk is fantastic. Speaking of Kevin Smith and horror, I think Kevin Smith is a way better horror filmmaker than he is a comedy filmmaker. Tusk and Red State. I loved Red State. It's been a few years, so I might not feel the same way, but I thought Red State, like, put Red State and Green Room next to each other in a little double feature. Did you ever see Red State or Tusk?
No.
Kevin Smith's, like, genre experiments?
No, I haven't seen either one.
Tusk is horrifying. And who's the...
it looks very scary.
Are you going to show that off?
Yeah, I am. I'm just going to take a picture from...
Tusk is just existentially horrifying. And also, like, the third movie with Justin Long with an awfully scary ending. Jeepers Creepers, Tusk, Drag Me to Hell, Justin Long. That's the Justin Long Pain trilogy, man.
Yeah, Justin Long had his moment. Y'all.
Are you not having a moment anymore?
No.
You're having a moment.
Well, okay. Look, listen.
Hear, understand, connect, communicate. Like at the end of the movie, you couldn't tell it was real until the last second. I forgot that about Red State. It's been a long time. A long time.
Can y'all see this?
There it goes. There's some of that Uzumaki manga art.
And then here's the hair.
Oh look, you got it already. There's like bouncy hair. It's a weird experience. Cool movie, cool visuals. If y'all have a favorite Japanese horror movie, I would love to know what it is. I would probably say Houseu. We've talked about Houseu here before. Okay, Return to Horror High. I'm actually going to save because it falls perfectly into our slasher conversation. So the only other one that I watched on my own that is an old classic of mine is Slither. I had not watched Slither in years. Really fun, really super fun. I still think everything in the aughts has this weird sheen of cynicism to it that just feels so dark and almost like weird to look back on. And Slither definitely suffers from that. Like I was so ready for the era of Tarantino knockoff. Everyone swears constantly. Everything's really dark and tortury. I was so ready for that era to end. Like what a pure, we'll get into it later. So Bush era, baby. Slither is so Iraq War, Bush era. It is so like the world sucks, we're the bad guys. It's interesting that horror isn't really doing the same thing right now. There's a wartime horror, and then there's like a domestic disturbance horror. I would argue, I'm going to go off on a tangent here. I would argue that things like the 70s, towards the end of the Vietnam War, the horror starts coming at home. That's why we get camp movies. That's why we get house movies. It starts being about the evil that we have here, what we've inherited, who we are, the pain of America, the pain of knowing that we've done villainous things. And then we shed that in the 80s when we go full-on Reaganism and Coke, baby. And then the 90s are sincere, self-aware. And then the aughts, we go back to war in Iraq, and movies just get like, instead of being on us, now it's about like the world being threatening. And I don't think that James Gunn is anything close to a jingoistic filmmaker, but Slither does have that sort of Cold War, atomic age, like invasion from the outside feeling to it. That, I mean, I think was definitely spurred on by like the aughts being a product of 9/11 and the terror of the outside force. So this is a monster movie that I think is kind of marred by its era, but it's also amazing. Nathan Fillion is charming as hell in it. Michael Rooker is disgusting as hell in it. He does a great job playing a latex-covered heavy. And Elizabeth Banks, in an early role, is really super duper likable. Really fun, interesting movie, but definitely part of James Gunn. You can see him inheriting that trauma and taking it to the mainstream, where he would do Super after this, which is even more intense. And I personally love James Gunn's stuff like that, like this and Super, but I'm happy to see him dial it back for a PG-13 because I think he's better with restrictions. I think his Guardians movies are him at his best. And that's my little rant about Slither. Do you enjoy Slither? I do.
And once again, I did not watch Slither, but I have something to say about the box art. It's gross.
It's gross.
It's gross.
Fave Japanese horror was Audition.
Okay,
Junji
and
Ito.
That is so scary.
Audition's great.
It is creepy, disturbing.
Creepy, disturbing, freaky, unnerving. Junji Ito, that is the author and artist behind the manga. And Justin Long's first film was Galaxy Quest.
I was like, whoa, really? 2. But I mean, I guess checks out.
Yeah, checks out.
Checks out.
Love me some Justin Long.
Also, Justin Long pain started with the movie Waiting.
I've never seen Waiting. Have you seen Waiting?
Yes.
You had to, didn't you? They made you like Clockwork Orange style.
If you work in the service industry for more than 10 years straight, you're forced to watch Waiting.
You're dripping drops.
And you know what? You get paid $2.13 an hour to watch Waiting before taxes.
$19.99. Galaxy Quest is $19.99 too. Why is everything from $19.99? Why is every good movie from $19.99? Oh, would you watch the Sixth Sense?
Maybe it was because everyone thought like Y2K was gonna.
That's exactly. We're dumping all their properties.
Yeah, they're like, get it out, hurry! I've got an idea.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna go ahead and check out.
My bunker.
Oh, what's up, Xander Lorian? Woof woof, dog. Woof woof. Why is every movie?
Beep, meow meow.
Every movie is from 1999. They're all movies from 1999. Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's what I watched. So let me give my little ratings on them. Blood Beach, recommended, and that was another thing that we do here. We don't really tell you not to watch things. When I worked at a video store, people come up constantly and say, "Is this good?" I'm gonna say what I said to them, which is, I'll tell you what I thought of it, but don't let that deter you from watching it because you might think something completely different. Okay, so Blood Beach, like I said, I didn't realize just how differently I saw this movie, but I guess I was more patient with it than some corners of the internet. Blood Beach is I really recommend this if you like corny horror. I actually think it's a standout among like rip-off titles that I've seen. It's a great Jaws rip-off, super fun. Uzumaki, definitely recommend this to any fan of horror. Super unnerving. One that is more fun because you probably don't. I didn't know anything about it. You might not know anything about it. It's weird. It's experimental. It's great. Mallrats. I don't know. I don't know if I'd recommend this to anyone. It's Mallrats. Watch it if you want to.
It's a late night movie.
It's a late night movie, baby. And Slither. Yeah, I'd recommend Slither for sure. So these are all. I think I watched a solid batch this week.
Yeah, seems like it.
And then what did we watch together?
Well, in I guess you'd say preparation or celebration of Slasher Week. So last year.
Oh, it's a break?
Oh, do you want to go there first? Yes, we should.
Well, yeah, because we're not going to get into that until Slasher time.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, as a break, what was that? Tuesday night or no, Monday night? Who knows?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. I've been trying to get Adam to watch Whiplash for maybe 2 years.
Yes.
And I finally convinced him to do it.
Oh,
so.
Sorry, great job, nerds. I don't know, Vineet. You'll have to Google it. Like I said, I got it on bootleg VHS. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, right. I don't know, baby. Sorry. Yes.
Life is a mystery. So we finally watched Whiplash. This was the fourth time I've watched it.
Fourth time?
Fourth time. But also, I grew up as a musician and a band nerd.
Tell your story.
Well,
Tell your story, Stephanie. Thoreson.
Look, here's the
co-host of You're in a Video Store. Let the people know who you are. I scratched my throat doing a Freddy voice for an Instagram video earlier, and I'm gonna go hydrate, and you tell the people about your band background.
All right.
Will, who's maybe still in here. I don't know. He's Holdenwook in the chat. My BFF growing up. Will is an incredible drummer. Was on Core, and you guys probably have a lot in common. So.
Okay, so you were in Core, like DCI Core, and if so, is that okay, look, were you in Drumline, were you in Core, DCI, what, let's talk, let's chat, drop it in if you're still out there, Will. Whiplash, yes. So I really enjoyed Whiplash. Okay, let me preface this by saying I have been a musician since I was like pre-teens. And I was in drumline, and I minored in music performance in college. And just, music has always been an important part of my life up until college, when it just got really, really overwhelming, because that's kind of where you decide if it's your path, because a lot of people say that it's harder to become a professional musician as far as classically trained musician, if you want to be in, for example, like a famous jazz group or philharmonic orchestra, whatever, than it is to be a professional athlete. And then if you take that and you take my instrument that was my focus, which was oboe and English horn, then the chances become even slimmer. So for me, college was the time where I really realized, like, I love music. It's always been a part of my life. But this is like, you either like go all in, or you say, nah, this is probably not going to be like something I pursue long term, but it will always, be something I dabble in. And Whiplash is the opposite. Whiplash is somebody like knowing exactly what they want to do and being passionate about music, going into college because they're saying, this is my life, this is my passion. I'm going in, I'm going for it. And I always told Adam, Whiplash for me is like a sports movie.
Absolutely. Red is a sports movie. And I, for the record, loved it. Thought it was so thrilling. Sometimes I feel like personally I take issue with the whole like the message of like shedding everything. And Damien Chazelle does this in his movies, like all of his movies. Someone has to give up everything. It also is the Judd Apatow syndrome of like, give up everything, cool, and settle, and now you're a man. Sometimes I take issue with that, and I can't tell if that's, honestly, to be real, I can't tell if that's my own insecurity of like, have I worked hard enough at the things I want to do, or is it really rather just like I disagree with that fundamentally as a philosophy?
Well, it's interesting because you kind of resonated with the poster on the wall in his practice room about like rock musicians versus jazz musicians.
But by the end of the movie, though, the thing is like, okay, full disclosure for anyone who's watching, I'm a rapper, and I've always tended to try and do the most technical stuff I can. So I identified with this character in terms of finding technicalities of rhythm and trying to execute them perfectly. Mm-hmm. I think there's, I could have spent more hours trying to nail Eminem's verse in Rap God to train my palate and my lips, so I haven't like done that sort of thing. But in my own art, I've always pursued technicality, and if I can't nail it in the booth, I try and I try and I try. So that I resonated with until you get that perfect studio take where it's clean, mm-hmm. especially on a fast verse. That's hard. So I did identify with that, but I also, in the spirit of hip hop and live, something we've talked about, and maybe you touched on this, but in terms of live music performance, you said that the difference between like doing like something like rock vocals mm-hmm. and doing something like jazz band mm-hmm. is that you can mess up and still not mess up doing rock vocals, doing mm-hmm. rock. But you mess up in jazz band or in orchestra or band to a written, composed piece, and you've ruined it.
Yeah, I'll pop in real quick since we're on this subject. This directly relates. So part of the reason that I left being a musician and pursuing music is because the pressure of performing perfectly, and I had debilitating stage fright until I was about 27, and I managed to minor in music and music performance. It wasn't like I was doing theory and oral and all that stuff. It was music performance with debilitating stage fright, and it's because you go in and there's this famous piece of music, especially if you're I won't even say that. There's a famous piece of music. Everyone knows what it's supposed to sound like. It's written on the page. Your expectation is to execute it perfectly. And then the only thing that got me out of my perpetual loop of stage fright is starting improv. Because with improv, it's made up on the spot and there are no expectations. And that's the only way I was ever able to overcome that fear of failure as far as being a performer.
Is when failing can be a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same with hip hop. Failing upward, failing forward. This is the same with hip hop because, I mean, God knows I've written very technical things, and then sometimes I'm doing a live show and I don't know, maybe I'm feeling it, maybe I just had a brain fart, whatever. Sometimes you forget part of your verse. It's not the end of the world. Like, I've seen rappers do this thing where they admit it and they apologize and they start the song. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. Just go with it, man. Just like do a little chant with the crowd. But like, yes, so like if I'm doing a rap show, I feel confident enough now that I can mess up and not mess up. I can mess up and no one will notice it because we'll keep it going one way or another. We'll cut to the DJ, we'll do a chant, or I'll freestyle. So that's why I identified not only with the technical push yourself to the limit side of this movie, but also the poster that you're referring to. At one point in his room, there's a poster, and it says, basically, if you're not good enough for this, you're going to end up playing drums in a rock band. And my reaction was, nothing wrong with that, baby. Playing drums in a rock band rules. And this is how I feel about Holdenwook. Will, you would love Whiplash. So we need to catch up on the chat here.
Yeah.
So Will started playing drums because his dad took him to see That Thing You Do. And no movie's had a greater influence on your life. I remember you loving that movie when we were kids. And then Vineet, remember when Ryan, our friend Ryan Darbone, did a film series for Cinema 41, designed the poster. I think that was actually, it wasn't Cinema 41. Well, you did the poster. I think that was AFS, unless they did a collaboration. But he screened Guy and Madeline on a park bench, and Damien Chazelle Skyped in, and they did an interview. That was before Whiplash. That was before La La Land. So to us, that was just like, oh, Ryan knows this independent filmmaker who made this little indie, Guy and Madeline on a park bench.
Yeah, which I haven't seen.
Yeah. Oh, and then I guess Vineet actually said that in here. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it, to be honest. But Whiplash, oh my god. And Xander, yes, the end scene, yes. Oh
no
my
spoilers,
god.
But another thing I love about this movie is, aside from one scene where they're playing a jazz competition and you hear flutes, and there are never any flutes in the jazz band, which bothers me every time I watch this movie. I mean, I'm like, flutes are used in jazz all the time, but this is like brass.
Haven't they seen Anchorman?
This is a brass and reed, whatever, jazz band. Okay.
But other than that,
this is the most realistically portrayed film about music. As someone who went to see Drumline with the Drumline I was in theaters, and snuck in Dippin' Dots, this is the most realistic movie about being a musician that I've ever seen, aside from like how intense the band leader is.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. First of all,
dork!
You got a same here, because Will went and saw the Drumline in theater with the whole Drumline.
Yeah, and Will, I just want to know what, I think maybe we've talked about this once before, but what did you play in Drumline? Because I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think it's...
Your quad? Or tenors?
I think it's quad, but I don't know. I'm so bad with knowing the names of the different kinds of drums. Everybody in the 313,
Quads.
put your motherfucking hands up and follow me. Hell yeah, Pathos.
I think that we did bond on this before because I was talking about harness tan lines.
Right. Tenors, they call them.
Tenors, quads, yeah.
It's funny because you call them quads, and I knew that Will's drum had 4 heads on it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. Is it a quad? Yeah, it's cool, man. I was always so impressed. And I saw Drumline in theater too, and I loved it. Mm-hmm. I remember like going to see it because I thought it looked dorky, and it was great. Again, another great sports movie.
Yeah, it is. There's a reason that marching band counts as a PE credit. Okay, everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna put that out there because it's hard.
Oh, Will messed up his back. He started playing them when he was too small. Well,
that'll do it, dude. That'll do it.
Another reason for that, to get that PE credit.
You gotta kind of lean to like balance the weight, and it'll mess you up if you're always like, yeah.
Dang.
I had the baby bass, the 20-inch. So.
Baby bass.
I had the baby bass. I doubled the snares.
Can we talk about J.K. Simmons in this movie?
Yes. Ugh. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so J.K. Simmons is clearly phenomenal in this movie. Fully deserving of that Oscar win. I am so conflicted on this character. Because on the one hand, yes, the ending scene is like a total cinematic orgasm, and I loved it. Perfect ending. What a perfect, brilliant... I don't think I've been that thrilled by the final 20 minutes of a music movie since since Purple Rain.
The word I used to describe it is exhilarating.
Exhilarating is right.
And it's
It's very long.
But, like, in the most perfect way. Because you're just sitting, and like, no spoilies, but you're just sitting in this moment for the whole time it's happening, and you're like, this is amazing. Chills. I got goosebumps. I got chills. I got tinglies down my spines. I got stinglies down my spine.
I totally thought this movie was going to end earlier, too, and then it followed.
You had so many theories going in.
I was so wrong.
You were like, it's going to be like this and this and this, and I was like, will you just watch the damn movie? That is what I did.
Yeah, and then I did, and it was fantastic. The thing about J.K. Simmons is he's, like, very fascist in his teaching. I mean, he's a villain, right?
Yeah, but he's kind of an anti-hero in a weird way, too.
Yeah, that's why I'm so conflicted, which is why I guess he's a fantastic character. But, like, his whole pushing someone until they break to get perfection out of them is very fascist ideal, like power through strength. Mm-hmm. And there's such a fine line in how he abuses people. He's also responsible for a death. So, like, he's a villain. He's a bad person.
And surely more than one person having PTSD.
Yes. Stinglies. And I...
Stinglies.
He just wants some damn pictures of Spider-Man.
Stinglies.
Spider-Man's a menace. I want pictures of Spider-Man on my desk in the morning.
Oh, no. Don't ever say Spider-Man. He'll just start doing that.
That's my J. Jonah Jameson. Get me pictures of Spider-Man.
We all know. Stinglies
it's good.
Stinglies will be our thing when a scene in a movie gives you the you get the goosebumpies. We'll call them Stinglies.
Give the stankles. Stinkly dinkles. Well, you have any other thoughts on
Whiplash?
I'm exhausted.
No.
Oh, the one thing I didn't like was the contrivance of the double meaning of Whiplash.
Yeah. There's kind of like a triple meaning of Whiplash.
What's
there was
triple?
So many. Well, there's the name of. Well, I don't want to give any.
The piece itself. Yeah. Okay.
There's
the
name of the piece.
Well, okay,
there's the thing that everyone knows that happens with the boom boom, bang bang, flip flip, and then there is this idea of somebody going back and forth to this thing they love, of leaving it so suddenly. He drops everything. He puts his drums in a closet and empties on his practice room and all that stuff, and then he whips back into it. He's foo.
Yeah, truth. Okay, you just say.
Also, did he just do that? Sorry.
That's our Whiplash.
Yeah, that was for J.K. Simmons' character.
I have seen this movie. Totally forgot. This movie gave me flashbacks as my high school jazz band director was an absolute monster in the same vein.
A lot of them are. Similar to restaurant managers, a lot of them have complexes about, like, being failures in some way or lesser than. They're trying to compensate for shit, and they take shit out on you.
Never give power to someone who wants power.
Mm-hmm. Never had a restaurant manager that I liked.
No, I have. Shout out Stephanie if you're out there. Not you. Stephanie, who managed me at Henri. She was wonderful.
Okay,
she was a wonderful
maybe
person.
Couple. There were a couple.
Paul Reiser is the dad, correct?
All women.
Great seeing Paul Reiser. Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely, that's my experience. Yeah, women managers are better than male managers in general. I'm a male manager at my job. I have no compunction in saying that. It's true. Paul Reiser is the dad, yes. And Xander is such a good impression. And Pathos, pretty good impression. It's interesting that popped up in there. Thanks, guys, for the validation. Sorry, I asked you if you had any other thoughts on Whiplash, and then I totally whiplashed us because I remembered the CC in the movie.
Yeah, that was the flip flap bing bang boom boom zippy
wada wada bing bang. Ting tang ooh ah ah ting tang wada wada bing bang.
Ting tang ooh ah ah ting tang wada wada bing bang.
Oh man, I miss the Jetsons too.
That wasn't that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
What?
Isn't that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Maybe. I don't think so. I think it's a song called The Witch Doctor.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
No, it's not the song from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Bang Bang Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. My 5.1.
Vanita's is so right that I learned how to be a manager from women managers. Oh, you're right.
Wow.
Whoa, it was Penny
it's almost like women are
Heather.
Great leaders.
Yeah, duh. Penny and Heather and Lizzie.
I'm not giving y'all any stink eyes.
Good
That's
point.
To the world.
That was Witch Doctor, Pathos says. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I made strawberry lemonade.
It's all strawberry lemonade tonight.
I just wanted to put point that out.
I'm just drinking
so it looked
bubble
like
water.
blood in honor of Slasher Week.
Is that why?
Yes.
That's cute. That's adorable. Do you have any other final thoughts on Whiplash?
No, I'm just shaking up my little strawberry bits.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and move into the next section of the show, New Arrivals. Was it a satisfying sound?
Yeah. You want to see if I can
do it next to the mic.
Hold on.
Oh, we were both wrong. Witch Doctor is not in Jetsons. Eep, op, orca, eep, orc. That means I love you in an alien language. I know my Jetsons.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. I doubt that picked me.
I bet it did.
Did y'all hear that?
Did y'all hear that? Bubbly? Did you get the stingles?
Did you get the stingle?
Vineet said it's almost like women make better managers, politicians, leaders, teachers, judges,
it's
presidents.
It's almost like that.
Just let me be a stay-at-home rapper. Women run the world. I agree.
Gladly.
Okie dokie. Minor fizzies. Pathos said minor fizzies. That does.
I'll work on my fizzy content.
Good. I'm glad because we have more ASMR videos to do too. New arrivals. What came to the house this week? Not a whole lot. A lighter week. Although we have some, well, we'll see. We're kind of dialing back the purchases as of late. Okay. One thing I did get that I just want to shout out right away. Who here has seen Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue? I'm going to go ahead and carry this up there.
Get up there.
Get up there. Okay, so I want to shout out a gentleman by the name of Matthew Gagney, who goes by Awkward Matt VHS on Instagram. I'm in a VHS group with Matt on Facebook. And I ordered a copy of this tape, but the tape I got in the mail came all moldy. And for those of you who don't know tape maintenance, if you get mold on it, you can't play it anymore because it'll get in your VCR and it'll infect your other tapes and you'll end up ruining your library. So I posted my lament, and Matt, out of the blue, surprised me by sending me this perfect condition copy. This is a collector's item, and my heart was so touched. It was a free rental, but as you can, when it was at Blockbuster in the kids section, it was a free rental as part of the Just Say No campaign from Miss Nancy Reagan. And what you can see is pure 80s going on. We got Smurfs, we got Winnie the Pooh, we got the Muppet Babies, we got the Chipmunks, we got the Looney Tunes, we got the animated version of Alf, who sounds like Rodney Dangerfield. We have Slimer from the Real Ghostbusters. Garfield's over here hiding in the corner. Who else? Oh, and that's not to mention, I don't know how they didn't make the front. Wow, they didn't make the box. The Ninja Turtles are also in this piece.
Ugh, shocking.
Everyone's in this.
Is this a McDonald's situation?
It's not. It was oh, it is! I didn't know that. It is a McDonald's situation.
Well, this was like when McDonald's and Burger King and were putting out, like, there were all the Burger King Turtles tapes and everything.
Yeah. I think this.
I thought I saw the M on the back, so I didn't actually know that from my brain.
Well, good. Look, it's not only presented by McDonald's; it's actually Ronald McDonald's Children's. It's the Ronald McDonald House.
Oh.
So this was part of their nonprofit wing, distributed by Buena Vista Home Video, which is Disney. Disney doing this very early on with all these properties, and this is the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. This is the Emmys right here. So this was like basically everyone coming together to merge. Oh, here, let's read it. The National PTA encourages parents, teachers, and other adults to share this important video with kids. Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue is an excellent resource in educating kids about the dangers of alcohol and other drugs. This is the president of the PTA. Reefer, yeah. Okay, so 9-year-old Corey is very worried about, an Academy of Television Arts and Sciences presentation. I never knew this. This was just always in the kids section, and it's perfect propaganda because it's a free rental. They printed it on the tape so that retailers couldn't charge for it. It says on the box, rent this for free. It's 25 minutes long, and it is all of your favorite cartoons, man, on an adventure together. And the whole time, it's about this 9-year-old kid whose brother starts smoking weed, and that weed addiction becomes a character named Smoke. And they all team up to be like,
I want to be a fly on the wall in that writer's room.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot.
What should we call the character? Smoke. And then he takes a big toke. That's a good idea.
The irony of how much cocaine probably went into the production of this. Anyway, the PTA has disbanded.
Yeah, also, where is Captain Planet?
Right?
And great job, nerds. Vineet, great point. Amazing that fast food companies was able to bring these franchises together better than any studio.
Yeah.
It's the power of salt.
It's the power of money, baby.
Salt and money. While you do that, I'm gonna
take your break.
Do one of these.
Take your first pee-pee break.
I'm gonna take my first little break, and I'll be right back.
Oh, it's ZPGP's here.
You can talk about our Oh, this looks kind of fun.
Creepy! Don't eat me! Ah!
You can talk about, what was it, 2 weeks ago, Frankenhooker was the ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Yeah, that was the word of the week.
So...
Get out of here! Push. I hope that looked cool.
It did.
Frankenhooker finally came, y'all. Okay, so I was on a real hen and lauder tip a couple weeks ago. I think I made my staff pick of the week, Brain Damage. Frankenhooker is one I haven't seen, and yes, I was using the word Frankenhooker around the house quite a bit that week because I kept talking about how much I wanted to see it. And I discovered that this Arrow Blu-ray of it is region free, so I ordered it so that it can go with the Basket Case and Brain Damage. Now, Vineet, you watched Basket Case recently. Right? And we talked about that a little bit on the program. So, Frankenhooker, I know ZPGP, I know this is on your shelf. I saw it. And I wonder what you think of Frankenhooker because I've, never seen it. I'm just really excited about it. So, that's a new one. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. It does have that vibe. Does have that sort of 50s atomic age art vibe going on the front. The other, only got 2 more new arrivals. The other new arrival this week was Mansion of Madness, Mondo Macabro DVD. I love these red cases that Mondo discs come in. This is Mondo Macabro, that is a company that mainly puts out just kind of obscure world horror movies. And this is one that's been out of print for a while that I actually have had this particular movie on my wish list since 2006. The copyright on the disc is 2004. So I finally found it for $30, which is like a steal for this thing. And I jumped on it. So I'm really excited to watch it. The back is like a Monty Python film directed by Fellini on acid. I can't wait. It's a Mexican horror movie about an asylum that is run and overturned by the inmates. It's from the director Juan Lopez Montezuma, who directed Alucarda. And if you haven't seen Alucarda, there's a great copy of it that is put out by the same company that's not out of print. It's actually pretty easy to find. Really fun Mexican horror movie about hysterical violence and nunsploitation. Fun stuff. I did achieve my dreams. Thank you. I've been trying to let my joy take me during this quarantine time where so much is unpredictable and so much is sad and scary. I have every few weeks been like just looking through and been like, you know what? I've been wanting to watch that for years. And normally this one's like,
did somebody say scary?
No. I hope it looked cool.
It didn't.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch this for years, and I could never find it for less than $50. And at that point, I'm like, for one disc. But $30, I took the plunge, so I'm glad it came. And then finally, this came a while ago, but we never did a proper unboxing of it.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful box set. This is the new Abco, which I don't know if Abco is a subsidiary of Arrow or not. Certainly the packaging is very similar.
Or the Illuminati.
This is the new, it's washing out so much, so I'll bring it up to camera.
Another beautiful aesthetic as far as color palettes go.
Yes, love this yellow mustard tone.
Look at those spines too.
Yeah, and yes, the spines are quite nice. We'll go ahead and
A
unbox
fall
it.
palette.
So this is the Jodorowsky box set that was just put out by Abco. Of course, you're going to have your booklet, what's new. And then the 4 films it comes with are Fondo Elise, El Topo, Holy Mountain, my personal favorite, and one I had never heard of before, Psychomagic and Healing Art, which is actually a newer documentary. And I say newer, I think past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
After past 20 years now means after the year 2000.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me. And then finally, I could go get that poster off the wall. Nah. Should I? The poster that came with this.
Oh, yeah. Go get it.
So it came with a fold-out poster, and unlike most of the time where the posters end up in the DVD box or the Blu-ray box on the shelf, we really liked this one. We actually got a frame for it and put it up.
We did. Kind of like, I feel like it's not that it's difficult for our aesthetics to align, but it's not often that we find something that like vibes so well with both of us as far as aesthetics, interests, everything. So this was sort of like, I mean, look at that beautiful bean footage. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Look at that.
It's gorgeous, right?
Look at that.
Love it. Love it.
It's like so 70s. It looks like
Got kind of a Pride vibe.
got a little bit of a Pride vibe, you know, because why not? We're totally all right.
But yeah, it's a great box set. I can't wait to watch these. They remastered. Really can't wait to rewatch these. I have a fun story about Jodorowsky, or Hodorowski. I've said Jodorowsky since college. It's kind of locked into my brain. I know that I'm wrong.
I think it is Jodorowsky, actually.
Yeah, right?
I think most people think that it's Hodorowski, but because I think they're saying it, they think they're saying it the right way, but I think the right way is actually Jodorowsky.
That's what I thought too, because I think his parents maybe pronounced his name differently because because Orowski is not.
If anyone wants to give it a goog and let us know if it's a hard J or a soft.
Yeah, would love to know.
Or if you just know from your brain vault.
Yeah, bring out the brain vault, baby. So fun story about Jodorowsky is that my college, shout out University of Iowa Film Department.
No one can see this.
shout out University of Iowa. Oh, that's good. University of Iowa Film School, which is a great film school. They're if you want to study theory, not if you want to make movies. Great theory school. They had a Bijou Theater, and it was student programmed, and the Bijou Theater was like most college theaters, where they would pick up short run foreign films, new release indies that maybe wouldn't go out to the theater. It's an Iowa town that wouldn't go out to the mall. You'd be able to go see, like, I saw Maria Full of Grace there. I saw a 70s 3D porno there once that they got. It was like where they'd show the exploitation weird stuff and stuff. It did a whole tour. It was like a restored print of this 3D porno, and it was fun. Everyone was there. Anyway, I heard, because I worked at a video store and I kind of had my ear to the ground, that these crazy movies called El Topo and Holy Mountain were getting remasters and getting toured again. And we had them at the store because they just come out on DVD, so I rented them, and I was like, these movies rule. I want to go see these on the big screen so bad. On print. Oh my God. Because back then, going to the theater actually, like, I almost just said something. I almost said, actually, like, brought me joy because you were watching film. And whatever. I don't know. Digital projection of new movies is fine. Anyway, sipping on the tea. Back then, I got really, really excited to go to the theater because you'd hear that click of the projector. You'd see an actual print of something that was shot on film. It felt like a magical, special experience. It was. And long story short, I emailed the director of the Bijou and begged them to bring these movies there. And they brought both of them there. And me and my two best friends went and watched both of them back to back. And then went and saw Grindhouse. And it was a wonderful night.
That's a long...
Of Le Cinema.
Le Cinema block.
That was a good night. It's what I call it.
Now if you want that...
Where's the money, Jodorowsky? Where's the money, Jodorowsky?
Theater does equal to more. Now you can just pull up on YouTube a sound of a clicking projector and hold it up to your ear and cry as you watch something stream on Netflix.
Yes. You can do that. I also knew that rant was going to lose us at least one viewer, which it totally did.
That is so cute.
It is so cute. I'm sorry to whoever I pushed away into the night.
I'll talk more in a minute. Don't worry. I'm just kidding.
I actually do want to take another TT break. But first, the final new arrival. These sweet-ass magazines. They're kind of hard to hold with the light. But Stephanie found these. And they were very cheap. And they're a 1993 magazine. Or 1990 to...
I think we got 92 and 93 in there.
That's amazing. Here, why don't you describe these a little bit?
Yeah, so I stumbled across these not knowing what Psychotronic was at all. I was just completely and utterly taken with the art, and I mean, you can see why. But then once I started kind of reading that, there were the content within looking at the back and kind of looking at like the sneak peeks of what's inside, I was like, okay, art, content, price, age, gotta get these. So I sent a bunch of pictures to Adam, and basically we each picked, what, 3?
We each picked 3.
We each picked 3 that we were drawn to, or that we were both drawn to, and then they're really cool.
They're great.
Turns out it was a good purchase.
These would be the kind of magazines that you would find at a small video store, an independent video store, or a independent bookstore. These would have short runs. You would either get a subscription in the mail or find them somewhere local. They are printed on cheap newspaper stock paper, black and white, and they are just full of interviews with B-movie stars, B-movie actors, sci-fi genre people. Some of the names that we got an interview with Jack Hill in this one, director of Switchblade Sisters and Coffee. We got Larry Cohen in this one. Man needs no introduction. We got Dario Argento in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Jackson in 1992. This is fresh off of Dead Alive.
Right.
And the back of this one has an ad for a bust in the shape of Ed Gein that says, and I quote, "Only a sissy wouldn't buy the amazing new Ed Gein bust."
The ads on the back also sealed the deal for me. Once I flipped to the back, I was like, yeah, we're gonna get these.
Yeah, dude. This one's got Russ Tamblyn in it. This one's got Peter Fonda and Paul Naschy. And not only that, but this is where you find...
Look at this.
This is where you find the shit. Because the internet is only going to take you to the same so many corners. But I'm so excited. You can see on the back of these too, it tells you movies you can rent, mail in. Video Vault. If you didn't have a video store in your neighborhood, you could mail them. This is the original Netflix, y'all. That's what this is, mailing rental. And these magazines, I know there's a good number of small lettered, black and white printed movie titles in there that I've never heard of, and I'm really excited to see what they are.
Yeah, for sure. Also, watch out, Wedge. Holy Mountain, the proper response is WTF. So
WTH, actually. What the holy?
What the holy hell?
What the mountain?
WTHH.
Holy Mountain is a great movie. Something to know about Joe Dorowski is he's ostensibly a cult leader, but he's also a philosopher, mystic, con artist.
Has a lot of interesting things to say and a lot of different ways to say them.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of money from his followers who financed all of his movies, and he cast in his movies and had to do insane things. So he's a weird guy.
I'd say buckle up.
Buckle it on up. He also...
Safety first.
There's a documentary called...
Put the buckle on your brain. Safety first.
Right here. Joe Dorowski's Dune. He also attempted to make Dune before David Lynch, and we've talked about Dune, of course.
Oh, also, I'm sorry, I have to interject here real quickly one more time. Watch out, Wedge. You were watching When Harry Met Sally. Yes.
Yes.
Just if you want to tell us, what y'all thought. You can just, how much you liked it or whatever. You can talk about it if you want. So, just putting that.
Go ahead. Get into it. That's so cool. That's amazing. Some theater seats need seat belts. Have you ever done D-Box? I never have. D-Box is the one where it's I'm watching Fast and the Furious!
No.
And the chairs move around on you?
I mean, I did something like that at Universal Studios.
Well, yeah.
We were like, I'm flying. Whoa. There's a water spray?
No!
Oh, that's a good segue to this. Beat does.
That's a great segue to this. Pop some popcorn because it's one of the most fun self-referential little horror movies of the 80s.
I love
or
this
90s.
movie.
Is this right on the border?
I think it's right on the
91.
border.
91. Feels 80s, but 90s self-referentialism.
I love
Here's where it
this movie.
begins.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
I have talked about popcorn before you started being a co-host, but let's get back into it because God knows we talk enough that we can repeat ourselves from time to time. Are you ready to get into the theme portion of the night? We've asked everyone what they've watched. We've shared. This is how the show breaks down. We talk about what we watched, what you watched, what we watched. Then we do the new arrivals. That's what came in the mail. What do we want to show you and encourage you to check out? And then we get to our theme. In Halloween month, in October, also known as Halloween month, every week has a theme. And this week's theme was slasher. And in this, under the umbrella of that, we have a movie pick, which was Freddy vs. Jason. That's what we picked together to watch. and talk about. So
just real fast, one more
yes.
time, I want to say, boop boop, up in the corner we have CW. We've got some CWs, some TWs tonight. If you are, sensitive to anything pertaining to sex, violence, or the intersection of those two things, just be a little mindful, because we might be slipping into those topics here, because our theme is slashers.
Yeah,
go figure.
We will absolutely be getting in. We're going to be talking about a genre of movie primarily focused on large men with knives hunting younger girls. That is what the bread and butter of this is. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be some. Just be warned. If that's not your bread and butter, then we'll try and stay abreast of that.
Yes. And maybe next week it will be your jelly and your jam.
I think next week we can pick a horror genre that's not quite so personal with its violence.
Mm-hmm. I'm like,
you're cool with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was actually just picking a strawberry seed out of my teeth, but it looked more like a grimace. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I want to be Grimace for Halloween. You can be the Hamburglar.
So fun.
No, that's actually the costume we wanted to do for our dog and cat.
It is.
Okay, so moving into the movie theme part of the night.
Yes.
It was slashers. We watched Freddy vs. Jason. Speaking of buckle up, y'all. Oh, and the one thing I wanted to say is that the chat, you were always welcome to jump in. Some of you know this. Wedge, Nerds, Pathos, Holden Wook, ZPGB. Y'all have been here. Y'all know this. But for anyone who's joining us for the first time, we love a lurker. We love a lurker. But we also love it if you chat with us, because...
Do we love a lurker?
We do. That's a term.
I know. I was just making a joke because it's
Slasher Week. And I'm stupid. I'm sorry. I mansplained. Try
to keep up, Adam.
Yeah, I mansplained when I was actually when being slower. Okay, well, I'll eat my hat for that one. That being said, with the chat, we do love knowing your opinion on things. We do love hearing what you think. We won't shame you for not having seen anything, and if we disagree, we disagree. We're not going to be dicks about it. We just like movies a lot. So, okay, I'm going to go get another beverage. This is my second break before we dive in.
Yeah.
And then slashers when I get back.
For sure.
All right. We got so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So much. We have like 20 things written down on our little cheat sheet over there.
Yeah. Okay, so in the spirit of Halloween month, aka October, and this show, You Are in a Video Store, I did want to say that, some of you know this if you've watched the show before, but I am a very late bloomer when it comes to watching horror films. I didn't really get into them until I was about 30, so that was about 3 years ago. And since then, I have kind of done like a crash course in horror, including this year. So a lot of things I'm watching for the first time, and a lot of things I'm going in completely blind. So, if we're in the same boat or whatever, that's awesome. That's great. Again, this is a judgment-free zone. Last year, I watched the Chucky franchise, the entire thing. We watched from start to finish for the first time. I think I'd seen like parts of some of them. Also watched Halloween for the first time. Last year, we watched the first 3 Nightmare movies last year for the first time. Again, these are all me watching them for the first time. And then this week, we dove into the Friday the 13th franchise. Again, I went in completely cold to Friday 1 and all of them, really. So we watched 1, 2, 3, 3D, and 4, and Freddy vs. Jason, which is our staff pick. I'm sorry, not our staff pick, is our movie club pick. So, I just wanted to lay that out there, let y'all know that I am relatively new when it comes to the horror genre, and in the last 3 years, I've gone from really not knowing very much to doing a very extensive deep dive and loving it more and more as I go along. So just a little, information for you. If you care, if you don't, that's cool too. Let's see. Yay! A full unopened bottle of rum. That is pretty cool, I gotta
It is
say.
pretty cool, I think.
I was just giving out everyone a quick rundown of how I am more or less a newbie when it comes to watching horror films. Didn't really get into them until about 3 years ago. Really because you got me turned on to them.
You brought that to the table, sister.
I did. And since then, you've kind of given me a crash course in horror and are continuing to, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's such a fun, wild ride, especially when I'm going in completely cold, completely blind.
The best.
It's
the best way.
And I was just saying, I didn't want to get into it quite yet, but Friday 1 was one in particular that I just went in not knowing a dang dong thing about.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and run this little movie club slide, and then we'll officially be in the thick of it. It didn't animate like it was supposed to, and I'm disappointed. Okay. Yes, I'm so excited about this. Ooh, unopened bottle of rum. That's fun.
That was not even. Oh, I went. Oh, that's fun.
The latest Halloween and the Child's Play remake with Mark Hamill as Chucky. Shoot me, but I liked both. Was it good? Actually, the new Halloween is well liked. I don't think the remake was. I'm sorry, I'm catching up. Okay, so full disclosure, not to hate on it if anyone liked it, but I did try watching the Child's Play remake on a plane when we were coming back from Iowa in January, and I just fast forwarded through most of it because I was very not into that movie.
That is the one I haven't seen.
Yeah, the remake.
Yeah.
But I also am kind of like, there was a whole thing about that movie not needing to be made because MGM basically owned the rights to the title and to some of the character aspects, which is why it's Buddy, and it renames itself to Chucky.
And it looks weird.
And it looks different. Is because the doll design and the Chucky name belong to Don Mancini, the original creator, and the Child's Play name belongs to the studio. So Don Mancini has been doing sequels this whole time, and Child's Play is my favorite horror franchise. That's not a bad jumping off point for slashers, but neither is what?
Sorry, I just popped in a cough drop.
Oh, what? I was looking at you to be
very quietly unwrapped.
I was just looking at you to like non-verbally be like, is Child's Play an okay place to start, or do you want to start with popcorn or Friday?
I feel like we covered popcorn.
Okay. I
mean, you like you said, this is organic, baby.
You're right. Okay, so anyway, now I'm talking about Child's Play. I'm curious, now that you've seen a few franchises, I want to know what your favorite thing is so far. We watched every Chucky movie last year, and I gotta say, I think Child's Play is my favorite horror franchise. Every movie is fresh and different. Don Mancini is one of the few queer auteur voices in horror cinema, and I love how he twists everything and plays with the concepts of camp and gender in these movies. I love... they feel very draggy to me, the Child's Play movies do. I think it's a very similar energy. It's this performative, literally being a doll.
Kind of like Baby John Waters vibes.
Yes. It's got this like trash American, but they're also like super, super well done movies, and he gets to do every sort of genre he wants. The first 3 are 80s horror movies. They're effects driven. They're outright violent. The next few are pure camp, and Bride to Chucky being also an homage to Universal horror, and then and Seed of Chucky to a certain extent being that too, and him building his first of all, that titling format, blank of this, is pure Universal class. That's House of Frankenstein. That's Curse of Dracula. That's pure Curse of Dracula's hammer. But you get my point. And then he gets to do his Quiet Haunted House movie and his Asylum movie with Cult and Curse of Chucky. Yeah. I love that franchise. So for me, that's one of my favorites. What's your favorite slasher franchise? Go off.
I mean, honestly, I gotta say, I kind of could not agree more. I think there's a reason that last year we so effortlessly made it through the Child's Play franchise. Yeah. And I was like chomping at the bit to get to the next one.
You were? I remember you being like, next one.
Yeah.
Which is not typically what you do after the end of a horror movie.
Because it's such a good combination of like actual disturbing violence and like creepy stuff and camp and fun and humor and like you said, queerness and kind of like otherness. Yeah, really cool. I I haven't. See, I also don't have a lot of authority yet because we haven't gotten into the Halloween franchise, and who knows? True. I might be like really. I've only seen the one, right?
Yeah.
So, I didn't. I have been enjoying getting into Friday.
Let's talk about Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Here, and look, this is right here too. This is a perfect segue. Okay, so where do we start when we start talking about the slasher genre? We might as well start with. Now, let's hit a few notes here first. We'll get back to these in a second. But if we really want to talk about the history of the slasher genre, we're talking about two movies in particular. Actually, three movies in particular, all from the 60s. But the two that really started it are going to be Psycho from Hitchcock and the one we were late on starting the stream so I could finish, Peeping Tom by Michael Powell. Powell being the... Bless you.
Always needs into your weenus.
Your weenus. Powell being Pressburger and Powell being behind The Red Shoes, which is a masterpiece. And Peeping Tom is we'll get into it. Those two, both from 1960. And then we're going to say The Girl Who Knew Too Much, which I brought out here to make sure I didn't get my facts mixed up. The Girl Who Knew Too Much, who John Saxon is also in this. Gotta love John Saxon, and I want to make sure I get the year right. Which I don't know if they're going to put it on here for me. Well, I want to say it's 63, but we can fact check that. This is an Italian movie. That and Blood and Black Lace, which is considered to be the first Giallo movie. Those four movies really set this tone for, okay, these are primarily unknown killers who are in the shadows, or known. I mean, in Peeping Tom, from moment one. They're men. They are using knives. And here's where we get into the content warning. By the way, we're talking about slashers. Content warning from here on out for a while. They're using knives, and they are hunting women, primarily. And there's this sexuality that permeates the entire thing. This obsession, voyeurism, following. And then Halloween kind of relaying a groundwork, like a classic framework. And we watched Halloween last year. Mm-hmm. Halloween... In theaters, which was... missed that. Laying this, like, a framework for what this genre would look like, not even knowing it would be a genre, really. And then Halloween has the copycats, and there we are. Here we are with the most successful Halloween copycat and the most successful slasher franchise of them all, Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. And from there, that's my little historical context rant. I'm going to pass you the talking disc because I think that people want to know what you thought in your first ever viewing of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say I didn't really, speaking of going in cold, I didn't really look anything up. I wanted to fact check two quick things. Laughing at Xander because he's saying the facts are I'm out of here. But I was curious because we've talked about the pre-Hays Code in terms of sex, explicitly sex.
Right.
But I was curious if there were any horror movies or slasher movies or violent movies because the Hays Code was about sex and violence.
Right.
So I just wanted to look it up, and the two that I found were The Lunatics from 1912 and The Bat, which is a silent from 1926, where it's guests in a remote mansion are stalked by a killer in a scary mask.
That's amazing. The Bat?
It's called The Bat.
A silent movie, you say?
Mm-hmm. The little summation is guests in a remote mansion stalked by a killer in a grotesque mask.
Well, it looks like this is rentable. We should definitely watch it. Oh, it's a comedy horror.
I didn't know that. I was just curious because those were the two pre-Hays Code, pre-1930 slasher-esque films that I could find, and I just thought that was a cool little nugget of information.
Well, you make a really good point because typically I think of, and this is again, and by the way, I will say to Xander, at least my fact was at least right with Girl Who Knew Too Much. It was 63. I did look that up. But The Bat, I didn't know about that. The other one, the silent short, you told me about the other day, and that one was like Lost to Time. Mm-hmm. When I just Googled The Bat to get a picture from it, one of the things that's referenced alongside of it is The Old Dark House, which is a Frank Whale horror movie, but it's a haunted house movie. And I realized that a lot of those movies they are, it's a Scooby-Doo syndrome. It is someone hunting everybody, but it's not played in the way that we know a slasher to be played. It's played in the way that it is a goblin or a ghoul. So I wonder what the cutoff point is there. Because I was even thinking of something like Dr. Jekyll. I'm pointing at a poster. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a classic man stalks women plot. But that is closer, like we were talking about, to a werewolf, and it's a monster. And the bat, in a scary mask, I'm so fascinated because that might really be the borderline there. The bat, look at him in his bat costume.
That's not grotesque.
It's not grotesque.
It's not grotesque in the way that you'd think. It's like...
It's grotesque in the way that it's super theater kitty.
Yeah, it is.
It looks like...
On Broadway.
Bats. Jellicle bats and jellicles do. It looks like that. But, no, I didn't know about that. I want to think, though, that... Sorry, now that I'm thinking about, like, 20s and 30s horror movies... they're like mostly supernatural, and the ones that aren't supernatural are a person pretending to be supernatural. Whereas like a slasher is a man with a knife being like, this is me. And I wonder how the bat dances on that. Anyway,
I'm curious.
Speaking of a man with a knife, let's talk about the first Friday the 13th.
Yeah, not to derail us. Sorry.
It's not a man with a knife. That was my joke.
Yeah, I'm sure that I'm literally the only person in the world that didn't know the twist. And even though I've seen Scream like 10 times, it's just like, it's weird how your brain like does not, out of context, when plopped into context, you don't connect the dots. And then once the dots are connected, you go, oh.
That's literally what you said when you asked. I was like, remember in Scream?
Yeah, and I went, oh. I really had that moment.
Zane really recommends The Bat Whispers from 1930, which I'm going to give a goog right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zane. Bat Whispers. Ooh, pre-code, same director, Roland West. Oh, is it infamous burglar the Bat commits a daring jewelry. So this is a sequel by the same director, it looks like.
That's fun.
That is fascinating. Cool, thank you. I'm gonna watch both. We should watch both. They can't. I bet they're short. Yeah.
I'm just writing down a little.
Do a little Dubby Feech.
I'm just writing down a little.
By the way, we'll go ahead and just ask the chat the question that is asked in Scream: who's the killer in Friday the 13th? Which you didn't know going in, and I gotta say, it was a unique pleasure getting to see you react to that and to the ending and to the jump scare at the very end of the movie.
Yeah, the jump scare got me. Gotcha. But I will say that the second that Mrs. Voorhees walked down well, obviously she's in the same car, but the second she got out of the car, I was like, oh, this is like we have a psycho situation.
Come to think of it.
So it didn't like shock and awe me. It was like sort of like it was just sort of like, maybe it's because of Scream. It was sort of just like it wasn't like a what?
Yeah, you didn't like do a full.
I didn't do a whiplash.
A whiplash.
A whiplash.
Call back. You just making me realize that all these movies we're talking about, and I can't speak to the Bat, but like, Friday the 13th. Psycho, Peeping Tom, all male killers who have a mommy issue in some way. Well, not male. Friday the 13th is not male. It is the matriarch, and then the sequel is in honor of her. The killing is done in honor of her. Same with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. There is a preserved grandma at the end, but you could argue that Tobe Hooper was spoofing the genre by that point, so maybe it doesn't count. Maybe it's too self-referential to be actually part of the movement.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing, we talked about this. We were like, wow, there's definitely a thing with dead moms in these movies. But you're making me realize, sorry, I'm mixing my words up, is that Halloween is actually, we think of Halloween as like the prototype, but it's actually a detractor from genre in that way. Because Halloween does revolve around family trauma as a kid, like the others do. And there is this like Freudian. I earlier looked up when Freud and Jung came into the zeitgeist, and Jung was like the 20s and 30s. So you see that psychological, that Freudian aspect in all of these, but especially interesting with Halloween, where there is no maternal trauma. It's the kid who causes it from the beginning.
Right. Well, that also makes me think of Scream and how Scream is divergent from the classic slasher, because it's, instead of following Ghostface, it's following Sidney, which is, usually the other way around, where you're following the protagonist through all these different situations, or I'm sorry, the antagonist, the
Well, in Halloween and Friday the 13th, I mean, I feel like the Friday the 13th situation is more Jason focused and it's unique, but like we do follow Nancy in Nightmare, and we follow Laurie Strode in Halloween. We generally like in a lot of those early like in Giallos.
I mean, again, I haven't seen all these.
With Giallos, we would follow the like people solving the crime and the murders generally happening around them. I'd say it's actually rarer to see more of the killer, but the thing that Scream does do is plays on that mom thing very much so.
Well, maybe I need to watch more of those franchises, because, and maybe that's just a perception I have through osmosis. Cultural osmosis is that the centerpiece of these franchises is the killer and the throughway of the killer, rather than the person who's the final girl. The final girl like keeps going, like Sydney.
You're 100% right. I didn't understand what you meant, so I apologize. I thought that you meant within the movie itself we're following the killer more.
Oh, no.
And I was saying, no, generally the plots have one female protagonist. You're saying the franchise.
Yeah, the franchise.
You're like big arc in it.
Yeah.
On a big arc,
big
yes. In a big arc, yes, Scream, you're totally right. Sorry. You're totally right. Sydney does carry us through all 4 Scream movies, whereas Laurie Strode only carries us through the first 2 Halloweens.
That's what I was saying. It's
gotcha.
Like,
this is like Bond movies. You like just toss them aside and get new ones every time.
Yeah, well, I mean, the inverse of that is Scream, because it's just like, who's under the mask? It's just boopity boop, boopity boop.
Yeah.
Boopity boop.
Totally right. Sorry, that was a really smart observation. I misunderstood. I was
Let
wrong.
the record show.
Let the record show. I know you did Last Summer is a decent one. That's a fun 90s movement one that I haven't seen in a long time, but I do love the 90s. We can get into the Scream portion of this night. I really want to know what you think of these first. Let's try and stay on these for a second.
Yeah, we're just gonna, because we did watch through, like I mentioned earlier, Friday 1, 2, 3D, and the final chapter.
The last one.
Man, I don't know, like, I don't really know, like, where to start. I know the thing that I said last night that made you laugh, that was, like, my kind of, clown on them. But I will say that okay, these movies are very similar.
They're very similar movies.
All right, look, here's the thing. I don't know if you were to play a drinking game where you watched all 4 of these in a row and you took a shot every time somebody was either thrown out of or into a window or otherwise broke through glass, you'd go good night. You'd need a day off.
You'd need
a day to recover.
I was actually playing the Friday the 13th game on the PlayStation last night, and let me tell you that breaking windows in cabins is an action you can take as Jason. For good reason.
And look, I'm not saying that to like criticize, because this was a fun, wild, spoopy ride. Okay, I especially the second one, I was like,
oh, the second one's awesome.
This is good.
The second one's really good. What's your favorite Friday movie? Sound off in the chat.
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about this last night too. They rhyme. Number 3 is almost exactly a remake of the first one. Granted, they're all really, really similar, but 1 and 3 rhyme a lot, and 2 and 4 rhyme a lot.
Yeah.
Because 2 and 4 both feel like they're picking up. The odd number ones feel like they're pushing things. The even number ones feel like they're picking up the pieces.
Yeah, and it also feels like Jason is sort of like playing some old standards and then trying out a new tune. Like every movie he's like, yeah, we'll do the spear through two people, or the, you know, spike up the bed, or, you know, some variation on a theme. But then I'll fold someone up into a bed after slicing them in half, and you're like, whoa, there's a new one. Okay, Jason, I see you.
Wait, no, that was Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh, right.
Which we get into shark jump territory there.
You know what? I'm also complaining that moment where, and also, sorry.
No, please go off.
Also,
I talk enough.
What is his obsession with hanging people up?
He loves it. He's a hunter and a trapper. That's why. He's a hunter and a trapper. He survived in the forest all those years. These are all survival skills he uses.
Yeah, drop your theories in the chat as we go along here. But I was very, especially once you get into, I guess this one was the one where it was like, okay, he's like, well, I guess he hangs everyone up in all the movies, but this one he just got creative in a way where you were like, okay, we're doing like a stigmata thing, like a
yeah, he nailed the guy in the doorway. That was sick.
Sick.
By the way, the spear through two people who are post-coital is from this movie, Bay of Blood. Yes. Mm-hmm. And it is said that all the kills, this is what I read on Wikipedia, is that, and this is Mario Bava, who did The Girl Who Knew Too Much, and
Blood and Black Lace.
Yes, he did that, and The Girl Who Knew Too Much. So Mario Bava is the inventor of the giallo, which they are paying homage to with all the kills are apparently from Bava movies. And some of them, I don't know, like, I would be curious if the wheelchair back down the stairs is from something.
I bet it is.
It probably is.
It certainly has been copycatted.
Yes.
Also, CBGB and Vineet, 2-2. We got 2 for 2 for 2.
Yes, yes. Oh, and also Pathos, it's a way to display his trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially to his mom with the head, the head shrine and then the bodies around it. Like, Mom, look, be proud of me.
Yeah. Is Jason like a forest witch?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Jason, I think, what is Jason? What, and I know that at some point there's like a late franchise lore dump on this, on Jason. What were you going to say?
I just remembered my dad clown on
the
Freddy movies last night after we watched, was it after we watched the final chapter?
Yeah.
I said the only thing that really changes from movie to movie is Jason's makeup.
Sick burn on a disfigured loner.
No, look, even from, okay, it's because we watch these back to back. Also, the other thing is, shout out to, you know,
Corey Feldman.
He's so good. Shout out to, like, the producer of these movies who just gets to say, you know what, the first 10 minutes, I got you.
Sean Cunningham, who directed, and I think Sean Cunningham
we can cut a few days off the
right?
production schedule, because we're just gonna replay 10 minutes of the last movie, which actually
changed hands.
Is helpful to, you know, consistency, but continuity from movie to movie with the hands, the nails, the makeup, all of it. And I understand that Jason was evolving, and
they're figuring it out,
figuring out what they want him
and
to
figuring
look
out
like.
what's marketable and what's cool and what the kids like.
No shade. I just thought it was fun. I just thought it was a funny observation.
It is a funny joke. Pathos, you couldn't have timed this better, Pathos. The best Jason look will always be the purple and blue one from the NES game. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the company NECA, but they are, if you ever go to Target and you see those wicked cool movie action figures that you want but you don't want to justify spending $30 on, those are NECA action figures. There are only 2 NECA products that I actually truly want. One is their, well, maybe it's not them, but whoever did the the ooze canister from Turtles. The other is the NECA Jason NES action figure. They have an action figure of him as he looks in the NES game. It's really cool.
Can
and he's in that purple and blue. Let me see if I can find a link for it. There's also one from the Freddy game. Let's see here. Jason NECA NES. Yeah, so cool.
Oh, that's fun. That sounded so fake. Oh, that's fun.
Here, I'll just drop this eBay link, y'all. it's out of print, and you know how action figures be, so it's expensive. Ooh, there's a long link if you want to look.
Also, speaking of out of print, quick, put a pin in it. We had planned on giving away one of these out of print Mondo sweaters tonight, so stick around. We hadn't really discussed
how to do that.
And the way in which we would give it away, but if you want
to win one, stick around and we'll figure it out. Yeah. Also, Holden Wook, do you still have any of those hyper-realistic action figures of horror movie villains? Those were called, they were Todd McFarlane toy line, and they were called... Scary Boys. They were called... Freaky Dudes. Freaky Dudes of the movies. They're called Movie Maniacs. Yeah, I still have a few of them. Those things are so rad. They're not in the best condition. I should have taken better care of them.
Ding dong, that is pricey, Vinny.
It is, yeah. Spoiler alert: if someone out there wants it, I believe. Let's see here. I'm killing time by making this sound while I grab a link. Nope. Never mind.
Will says he remembers you using the Freddy one to scare the shit out of him.
Yes, I did do that. At a sleepover. Because I was really scared of it. We were both really afraid of Freddy. And we were both kind of like, in that late night slumber party brain where you start convincing yourselves that that actually it's going to come to life or something's going to happen.
Yeah, you start thinking, whose bra are we going to put in the freezer?
Yeah, very much that. And... Will slept on the couch, and while he was I don't know, repositioning or something, I very just carefully and quietly put the action figure next to him so he rolled back over, and I remember being in bed and falling asleep and being woken up with the loudest scream because he discovered it.
You're a bully.
No.
Speaking of repositioning, I get really I get really antsy pantsy. So sorry, I'm always sitting on my foot, put my knee up.
Oh, don't apologize for being you.
Just if anybody's wondering.
It's hard to sit still and talk for 3 hours.
Yeah, I just can't sit in chairs right.
Well, I gotta see. I have a swivel chair, so I have a little bit of a
you get to do
advantage here. I get to have a little movement.
Sort of very.
Yeah. Because we get keyed up on green tea before we come on here.
That's strawberry lemonade.
Those call me a dick.
Yeah.
Not wrong. Okay.
Let the record show.
Let the record show. You're a jerk. Okay, where else? Where do we want to pick up with slashers? Okay, the other big one is, as we talked about, here, you know what? This is what we'll do. We're going to do a Freddy giveaway on one of these. I think what we should do is a number between 1 and 2,000. And everyone drops what they think in the chat. And whatever number we've written down on this wins one of these extra small Freddy card. They're extra small.
Okay.
But they are out of print.
I also will
and they're rad.
I also will say that this is an extra small. Okay. Can you see this here? See the length on and it buttons on me, and I would never, ever buy myself an extra small in a cardigan. Ever. And it fits me like a glove. So if, I don't know, I'm just letting you know that it runs large. Or it runs fit.
It runs nice.
Normally I'd get myself a large or even an extra large because I like my cardigans with a little room to do whatever this is.
Dance.
To dance. But this is the extra small on me, and I'm a size 8 to 10. A medium. I typically wear a medium in tops.
Well, there you go.
Well, now everyone knows my measurements.
There you go. Buy her something. No excuses now. Okay, with the slasher thing, I do want to give that away. Okay, I want to talk about an old opinion that I had that I don't really have anymore after watching these first 4 Fridays. And yes, they are basically remakes of each other. Yes, they are very much derivative of each other. And there's a formula they're following. They're money makers.
Mm-hmm.
They're let us not forget that these are commercial, but they are commercial in a way that like effects artists and people who got into movies because they love that movies take us to fantasy worlds. They afforded those people money to work with. I think that's a big reason of why I love these movies, and also because I've probably said this before, but I believe that the horror genre is a very elevated form of storytelling because it is so accessible while also showing us parts of ourselves that are so deep, and it lets us do that through a very easy lens. I love that every year it's perfectly acceptable to have bloody corpses and knives hanging out for children to buy in the grocery store. I think we kind of need it, and I think this is a healthy outlet. So, yes, and practical effects are the greatest. Exactly.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so my whole point here was, because we're going to gear up ultimately to our movie club pick of Freddy versus Jason, I feel like it's only fair that we spend a little time talking about the Fredster, as we are also giving this away.
Yeah.
Because we've spent some time talking about Jason, who, as you and I were discussing last night, Jason's very much over here as this creature from the woods who had a traumatic childhood and is basically a child trapped in this hulking body, operating very impulsively and violently. And then on the other side, you have the literal opposite. Freddy Krueger, a child killer, a violent monster by choice and intentionally, and he worked at it. He built himself he made this shit. Like...
He's so scary.
Freddy's a bad, evil thing. So one thing we talked about, and the thing, of course, that unites them both, again, is sex, which is at the root of all of this. Like, we can talk about now, like, the male gaze and Psycho and Peeping Tom, and the male gaze is permeated throughout the Friday franchise. And that's why I said Laura Mulvey earlier, because she's the person who coined the term.
Did you say the Freddy or the Friday?
Friday.
Yeah.
Freddy is misogynistic in a much more outspoken way, but it's Freddy who does that speaking, which is kind of a cake and eat it too thing, because I think the Freddy franchise, at least the first batch, they all are very much about having a strong female character who fights this thing, who fights this guy, and they're problematic in their own 80s script way. But they generally let Freddy be the mouthpiece of misogyny, and he is very much the villain. But he's also fun to watch. So there's that middle ground where they're not quite delivering the message maybe they think they are.
Also, I'm sorry, I have to slip this in as a quick side note. The Friday movies, all the men in those movies are fucking dicks.
They're all at least in the first 4, they're terrible, all of them. But that's the thing, like. If we're talking about the male gaze as created, like, as really exemplified by, like, Peeping Tom, 1960, we were talking about it earlier. Peeping Tom is about a killer who literally carries a 16mm camera with him and uses a tripod leg with a knife in it to kill people, to kill women, and because he's trying to capture it and create this art. And the rising of the tripod leg, it's very it's so explicitly phallic, so literally the male gaze, the camera, the penetration of the camera. In the Friday movies, it's like this, it's rape culture. It's like it's what it is. It's like what we think of when we say that.
I mean, even when it's not the killer, it's all shot like POV, and there's, in the beginning of the movie, all the movies, they're often trying to, like, throw you off by doing, or they do this a few times where they're trying to, like, psych, where they're, like, following as if it's somebody watching a woman, like, in the shower or undressing, and then it's just,
It's very normalized.
Yeah, and also a lot of butts in short shorts. A lot of medium wides of butts. Just tracking shots of butts.
Well, just a lot of, like, I mean, we know that these movies objectify women. That's kind of a long-running joke at this point.
Wait, what?
I mean, yeah, we're not...
I'm out of here.
We're not reinventing the wheel. It's known. Everyone if you want to satirize this genre movie, you have, a topless girl with an unnecessary shot of her in the shower. That's the joke.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna put something up on the shelf. The other thing that I wanted to fact check, and I can take it down whenever. So let's just like, kind of,
let's fact check something in a sec. Oops, I hope I didn't mess up with hitting the XLR cord.
Oh, you're fine.
Hello. The thing with the male gaze permeating these, when I say rape culture, what I mean is what we mean when that is talked about, which is a culture where like men are entitled to sex, and everyone acts like that is the case.
Yeah,
where,
Teddy.
Yeah, and the fourth one, and consent is not really something that's talked about. Like it's not. It is done through the camera, and the irony is they're like, you made a really good point. They're trying to throw us off by showing us POV. Which is typically associated with the killer, but then we shift it. But by doing so, they accidentally create a world in which every man can be the killer, even if you know it's Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's an unreliable narrator.
Well, I don't just mean that it's an unreliable narrator. I mean that like
I know
the camera, like but it's not. It's only Jason, but it's not that it could be anyone. It's like it accidentally creates that and creates this environment where all male presence is threatening one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you feel uneasy no matter what the outcome of the scene is. You're like, is it this? Is it this time? Is it this time? Which TBH is like, if you're a woman, you know that like there's often situations where you're like,
yeah, what did you like if these movies, and I don't mean to say these movies are, I don't mean to say the movies themselves have a problem with consent. I don't know if it's bad script writing from men or it's on purpose, but like I wonder like what do you think of these movies in terms of kind of the ever-present maliciousness of the men in them, and how that is brought forth through Jason and his mommy issues, and how he's a big kid at heart and he's not, like do you think these actually came from a place? Do you think that's accidental or intentional?
Okay, so if we're talking about the
and
Friday...
go off, girl.
Okay, so are we talking about the Friday movies or slasher movies in toto?
I want to talk... I just... now I want to jump back to Friday, because I think the difference with Nightmare is that the first movie is explicitly about her hunting him back.
Right.
The first movie is like... The third act of this is straight up Home Alone.
Right.
But Friday the 13th, no. They don't ever have a chance, because it's a force of masculine terror the whole time.
Okay, so this relates to the Friday movies, but also relates to slashers in a more broad sense, but I'd say, for lack of a better term, traditional slashers.
Okay.
So, women who are victimized stalked by a man. We all know. I don't need to go into it. We all know what I mean by traditional slasher, right?
Yeah,
like
we're just talking about like the Halloween formula, right?
Yeah, the Halloween formula, the Friday formula.
The packaged lunch. Group of teenagers are somewhere. Killer picks them off one by one.
Yeah.
And we're left with one. We're left with one final girl.
Yeah, more so of like sexual women being punished and seeing.
Right. The Scream rules. It's if you've seen Scream.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm taking it off the shelf now because it applies to both the micro and the macro. The thing I wanted to Google was...
Oh, Google it.
Oh, I Googled it.
Oh, okay.
I took a little note on the thing I wanted to know because I was curious, when was second wave feminism? Second wave feminism started in the very early 60s and ended in the early 80s.
Interesting.
And my thought was, with all the mommy stuff and all this, and all the violence towards women, and just, we all know what the hell's going on in slasher movies. But my thought was kind of like, is there a connection between second wave feminism and the rise of popularity of slasher films? And I was like, let's break it down. Because if you think about first wave feminism, you have women trying to get the right to vote. You have women trying to get the right to basically just, be anything other than a 50s housewife, like to have some sense of power and purpose other than like being a mother and a wife. If you think about second wave feminism, which really kind of the seeds were planted right before 1960 and really started sprouting around 1962, and then like really ramped up around 68, and then
sorry, can I interject with a bullet point?
Yeah.
if it was ramping up right before 1960, that would almost be exactly when all of the women who worked in factories during World War II, if they got pregnant when their husbands returned home from war, the baby boomers, 1960 would be either when they were having kids or when their kids were like, okay, say you're a woman who's got a job and you work that and you see all the feminist World War II propaganda saying to get a job. Your husband comes back home. You guys have sex when he comes back home. You have a little kid. Then 1960 is the year your little girl goes through puberty and you have to decide what you want to teach her. Sorry. I realized that I felt like that lined up.
No, I think it does. I think it's relevant for sure.
So you were saying 1960s second wave feminism.
Yeah, so second wave feminism really the pleats are slanted. The seeds are planted late 50s, you know, with I would argue with like the what's the
groovy movement. The hippie movement? The jazz movement?
The come on.
Bebop?
Come on.
The beat generation?
The beat generation.
I said bebop.
Yeah, bebop. I would say like the beat generation really bled into second wave feminism, and if you think about first wave feminism versus second wave feminism, the things women are trying to achieve in second wave feminism center around bodily autonomy. They center around sexual assault and rape, and specifically rape from a domestic partner and domestic violence. They center around, you know, abortion, Roe v. Wade, all of those things. There was another thing I jotted down.
This is
sexuality, sexual autonomy, independence, independence from the familial unit, sexual pleasure, queerness, sexual orientation and queerness, all of those things. But yeah, big thing is reproductive rights. And then I was like, okay, right. So when we were talking about, I don't know why I just said, okay, right. So, all right, okay, here we go. When we were talking about holiday horror films.
Yes.
It started making me think about Black Christmas, which is one we haven't watched yet.
Right.
But Black Christmas is from the early 70s, right? Or
yeah, it's an earlier entry for sure. 74.
So that movie is centered around a woman who wants to get an abortion.
I know nothing about Black Christmas.
That's the only thing I know about it, and I just know that through osmosis.
Amazing.
So it just made me think, like...
That's probably a big spoiler.
If you think about... I don't think so.
Okay, I'm just joking.
I really don't think it is.
I'm just giving you shit.
But if you think about second wave feminism starting... pleats slanted, like I said, seeds planted the end of the 50s, really gets going early 60s, you know, is very, very prevalent through the 60s, the 70s, and into the 80s, and really only starts dying off like mid 80s when the slasher film craze has already taken off and become its own entity, become its own huge genre.
But then it's self-referential.
Exactly. And then you get into the 90s, which is the beginning of the third wave of feminism. That's third wave feminism, which is that kind of, you know, we reference back to slashers with things like Scream, and that starts all of those referential
You know I have a rant
movies.
about feminism and Scream queued up.
I know you do. So I really think, or I speculate, I wonder if the rise in popularity of slasher films throughout the 60s, 70s, and the beginning of the 80s is directly correlated to men's response to women demanding bodily autonomy and demanding that there's justice for sexual assault and demanding that they own their own sexuality, that they're independent, and that they can have pleasure outside of a man. You know, I mean, like, even things like masturbating were not talked about until the 60s, really, you know, out in the open. So, yeah, I would speculate that a lot of that is this desire, whether it's conscious or not, this desire to see a woman put back in her place through violence that feels very invasive and that feels very sexual in nature, and to see them cowering and crying and afraid and in a position of vulnerability and men having power over them.
I was gonna ask you, do you think it was? Yeah, that was a phenomenal thesis.
Thank you.
And hypothesis.
What do you think? Let's
feel
talk about it in the chat.
Yeah, let's talk about it in the chat. Well, Vineet wrote snap. That's kind of how I feel. I feel like that's an incredible breakdown that I'd never really considered these movies as being a response to the rise of bodily autonomy in the second wave feminism movement.
Think about it.
I want to say, I think, of course, 100%, I think you're right. But I also, what do we do with the concept? Well, the final girl then is the virginal one. But
yes, because being virginal is what? Say it together, class. Rewarded.
It is. Rewarded by having a life and by having autonomy for making the right choices.
By the man allowing you to survive.
But here's the rub, because the director does allow her to survive. The man making the movie
for his own pleasure
allows
and
her
profit.
Well, back up off that ledge.
As my therapist would say, Stephanie, take a deep breath.
Yes.
Let's pause.
Come back to the convo.
Let's check the facts.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I love you.
I love you.
Okay, so
I love you. I love you too.
I love all of you. Okay, so my question is, yes, I absolutely think you're right. What do you do with the final girl? Because yes, she is allowed by the filmmakers, and there is like this space, and maybe it's just story structure, you could argue. But like typically it is the virginal final girl. That is the thing, and I think you're 100% right, is the virginal girl being rewarded for never doing the wrong thing, and everyone else is punished. But I also wonder what it says that the groups of people that are killed are co-eds, including the horny boys. And the girl who's like the good kid gets off. Is it just that, or is this Okay, my question is, I think I agree with you 100% that these movies are the product of a pushback towards second wave feminism, but do you think it's possible that some of that second wave feminism actually got into the filmmakers' heads too? And so the inclusion of the final girl in that empowerment story is their clumsy attempt to be feminist. Because granted, we've seen horror movies like I Spit on Your Grave, where it's a rape revenge movie, where it's a woman who's assaulted by men and then she kills them brutally one by one, and it was purported in the 70s to be a feminist movie, even though it's exploitative at the same time.
Yeah, but rape revenge is a different...
It is, but wouldn't you argue that the slasher movies almost like when... At least like... when the... Well, okay, now we're getting into Nightmare, because now we're getting into beds and revenge.
Well, this is kind of why I was like saying traditional
Right, I get
slasher.
you. I get you.
And the rise of the traditional slasher film.
You were good. You outlined the glossary of terms for your thesis very well. Very legal.
And, to be honest, complete, transparency here. I clearly am newer to the horror genre, and do not have the plethora of sources to pull from. This is as a woman, as a feminist, as somebody who studied film theory and has also been very invested in learning about feminist theory, this was just the thing that the light bulb for me that went...
I think you're 100% right. I think it's a brilliant thesis that we should probably highlight or clip out after we're done recording tonight.
Okay.
Great job, Nerd said, hey, can you say that again? JK, that was great. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I just, I do think that, like, it's like they want to be better. And the interesting thing with the Friday franchise in particular is that they're not going to get better. I do think this actually is the far more misogynistic franchise. And like you said, in the classic vein, because coming up next, man, we're not going with a female protagonist next. Now it's Tommy's time. Now we're going to follow the dude. Tommy Jarvis.
What year is Friday 4 is the final chapter?
84.
So 84 is really when second wave feminism is tapering off.
There you go. And these become... Well, and that's a good... We haven't really talked about... I'm a huge proponent of genre theory. And one part of genre theory is the idea of a cycle, which I'm sure you're familiar with. But it's basically like a few movies come along and they form a series of syntactical and semantic rules. Syntactical meaning, how is the structure of this movie work? How is the editing work? How is it put together? Semantic meaning, what are the elements? So think about a sci-fi fantasy, that genre. The syntax might be the structure. Hero gets mythical item to defeat evil king, right? Okay. you put that in Lord of the Rings or you put that in Star Wars, your semantics are different. You might have wands in Harry Potter and laser guns in Star Wars, but the syntax is the same. The structure of the hero's journey is the same. Mm-hmm. So in genre, I think with this and slasher, we have our Psycho and our Peeping Tom setting it. But then the cycle builds and builds, and it's eventually perfected. And I would say Halloween would be the perfect version of it. And then it is imitated after that perfect moment. It's imitated, and that would be the Friday. That would be the Nightmares. That would be all that. And then you hit a moment at which there's so much of it that it can't help but reference itself, and then you get into parody and satire and self-awareness, which happens in the 80s with Popcorn is 91, Return to Horror High 87, a maddeningly self-aware slasher. But
I haven't seen that one.
No, and it's good, but it's also like it wants to be too many things.
Is it a bit too much?
It's a bit too much. Okay, so I want to jump to Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, because Freddy is a woman-hating, kid-killing asshole. But this first movie is all about a girl who no one listens to. Her dad doesn't listen to her. The cops don't listen to her. Her boyfriend totally writes her off. Johnny Depp, you should listen to Heather Langenkamp more. And her mom does not exist to give her an example. She's completely alone in this world. She figures it out, gets booby traps, full-on Kevin McAllister's Freddy's ass. And at the end, of course, when she's sucked back into the dream, it's more of a... For me, it feels more like a gut punch to the feminists we're talking about, because in this, Nancy is a hero who tries her best and does it and does all the work. And then in the end, it's just a fantasy that is taken from her because Freddy is still the force in the air. Mm-hmm. It feels more tragic than Friday.
I mean, it does. Weirdly, it's less grounded in realism, but feels more, like you said, gut punchy. Just across the board. Because whereas, Jason is like a, cycle of trauma, mother, child trapped in a man's body.
Oedipal, Freud.
Oedipal,
Sigmund.
Freud.
Knives.
Jungian,
Yeah.
All sorts of,
Feminism.
Yeah.
Put it together. Can I do my scream rant?
A slasher. Yeah.
Can I do my scream rant?
Yeah.
Okay, you may have seen this before. I'm going to try and make it fast, but here's my buckle up. By the way, I just really want to compliment your rant, because I feel like I talk so much on this show, and I try not to, but I'm glad that I was like a TED Talk. Okay, here's my Timmy talk. Speaking of Wes Craven's a genius. He's an academic filmmaker. He broke everything down. His movies sometimes have a sloppy quality to them because sometimes as a director, he's not the best director, but he is a great thinker and a great storyteller. And Scream, his partnership with Kevin Williamson, writer from Dawson's Creek. Kevin Williamson knows teen dialogue. He is smart about horror movies. Wes Craven is obviously one of the innovators of the modern horror movie. Yeah, you do.
I'm gonna go do my TT.
Okay, you do your TT break. I'll try not to lose too many people. Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson in 1996 make Scream. Okay, so we're talking about second wave feminism in regards to the 80s slasher movie. Scream is where that third wave feminism comes in, because as Stephanie pointed out, not only does Sydney become the main character of every Scream movie, Sydney in the first movie breaks all the rules, and Randy, the video store character, outlies the rules, and the rules he's describing are the rules of the genre. So now we're at the satire point in the genre where you have Scream and Scary Movie. Fun fact, Scream was originally called Scary Movie. That was the working title on the script. But Sydney engages in violence, she parties, and she has sex. Most importantly, she has consensual sex with her boyfriend, and then discovers that her boyfriend is the killer. So she gets to triumph, but also do everything on her own terms. And an interesting thing here is that the kind of prompting event of the Scream world is the death of Sydney's mom, Maureen Prescott. Maureen Prescott was murdered, and throughout the movie, there's a lot of references made to her being promiscuous. She's slut-shamed throughout the whole thing, posthumously slut-shamed, really treated poorly, especially by the male characters. And that's because Sydney's mom was the victim of an 80s horror movie. An 80s horror movie. Sydney Sidney Prescott's mom, Maureen Prescott, was the victim of a second wave feminism movie. She was punished for being sexual. It's literally what she was killed for. Now, Sidney is the next generation, and Sidney has those benefits from the previous generation, but has to work on others and the representation and the being considered as an equal against everyone else. Also, really, in terms of that third wave feminism, please correct me if I'm wrong, a big part of that is her getting to decide who she wants to be. She doesn't have to be super academic or to be respected, or she doesn't have to be sexual, but she can be, and she is, because she decides to be, as I said. The really interesting thing about Scream is that not only does it operate in a reverse pattern, but Scream 4, which I think is super criminally slept on, now I've mentioned this before, you're going to roll your eyes because you heard it a million times, but the A in the title for Scream 4 is the number 4, and that is because it's both a sequel and it's a reboot. So it has the same title, but it's a hint. It's a sneaky little Kevin Williamson joke.
To Uzumaki. Whoa.
Okay, but they haven't heard this before, so if you just Scream 4, spoiler, the killer is a millennial girl, and she does not respect at all what Sidney or Sidney's mom have been through. So at that point, we get into reboot culture where nothing is appreciated from the past, and it's this frustration of like the Gen X generation looking at the next one and saying, you don't realize how hard we had it. How dare you act so entitled, you millennials? And, you know, I take some issue with that being my generation, but it's a brilliant commentary for a movie for the Scream franchise to go in. And
I agree, and I only know that coming back in to sit down because I've heard it before, but
thank you. Well, thank you, and that is my explanation of why I think the Scream movies, and we could go deeper into why it's so important, because if we want to talk about slashers, it also inspired a new generation of slashers and really rewrote the genre's rules. And not often do you get that where a genre goes like this, right? We have our first few prototypical examples, our Psychos, our Peeping Toms. We get Halloween, which is the prototype. It synthesizes everything. Then we get the copycats, the Fridays, the Nightmares, and we go into the cycle, and then by the time we have enough, we hit back here, we see ourselves, and we say, we're going to start talking about ourselves. Then we get our return to horror highs, our popcorns, our self-referential, our fade to blacks, our let's make horror movies about people who like horror movies. Then we come back and we hit Scream, where we say, okay, now we're just talking about how we like horror movies. But then, oh no, Scream starts to get copied. We got Final Destination, we got Urban Legend, we got I Know What You Did Last Summer, we got all these Scream copycats, we got The Faculty, half of them also written by Kevin Williamson, and then we get back to the point where Scream sees itself again, and then what happens? Remix. Because at that point, there's nowhere left to go. The genre breaks and Scream reinvents it. And it's not often that you get a movie that both comments on the genre while completely reinventing it and restarting a second cycle. And that is why Scream is a masterpiece. And that is my Scream rant. Leet speak. Cool. So this brings us, of course, inexorably, unfailably, to the movie club pick of the week. Mm-hmm. And I have to.
Song for movie club.
We do, and he's go. Movie club, movie club, does whatever a movie club. We just have that song stuck in our head, I think. Yeah. I now need a TT break. Why don't you do what you do, girl?
All right. Let's talk about in the comments. Sorry, I'm crutching on another lozenge. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but allergies in Texas right now are off the charts. And I'm just going to say allergies because I don't know, like mold counts or pollen counts or whatever, but I'm sneezing, I'm sniffling, I'm scritching and scratching, and I'm probably going to lose my voice here in about 20 or 30 minutes. So, in the chat, let's just kind of talk about if anything from either one of our rants stuck out to you or you have your own thoughts, please drop them. Also remember that we will be giving away one of these out-of-print Mondo officially licensed Nightmare on Elm Street Cardigans, again, this is an extra small. We only have extra smalls in the cardigans. But, like I said before, I normally would never, ever, ever in a million years buy an extra small of anything. I'm a medium large kind of gal. And this fits me great. The length is really nice. There's plenty of room. And the seam here is lined up on the shoulder perfectly. So, any interest at all in having this to put into a shadow box or flip or give away to someone for Christmas who's a big fan of Freddy, you know? Stay tuned. But we will be getting into Movie Club. Let's talk about Movie Club. Our movie club was Freddy vs. Jason. I'll say no more until Adam returns. But why don't we start by dropping in the chat, additionally, whether or not you watched the movie club this week. Let us know before we start talking about this. Or alternatively, if you've seen this movie before. We're talking about it.
What's the question?
I said 2 things. 3 things. 1, keep in mind we're giving away one of these sweaters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and yeah, there's a number written down somewhere around here.
Yes. 2, don't show it.
You know what it is?
Yeah, I do. That's good. 2, drop in the chat if you watched this for Movie Club or if you've seen it before. Number 3, anything in particular that stood out you want to argue with or you have your own theories on from either one of our rants.
Yes. Thank you. Great summary. Also, I'll indulge pathos.
Oh boy.
I want to talk about Freddy vs. Jason. Oh, now I'm losing it.
Don't encourage him.
Get me pictures. I want to talk about Freddy vs. Jason.
That's good.
There it goes. Parker. Okay, Freddy vs. Jason. Who watched it? I remember seeing this in theaters. I was so stoked. I made the background on my parents' computer at our house a Freddy vs. Jason background. I watched all of the Jason movies for the first time this summer before it came out. I was one of my first movie buying excursions where I went to Best Buy every week with my lawn mowing money and got a new Friday the 13th movie on DVD until I had all 8. It was really fun. It was a very satisfying summer. And I watched all of them. I rewatched the Nightmare movies, and I went in ready for this shit. I was 2003. I would have been 16 or 17. Like, couldn't have been a better age to go see Freddy vs. Jason in theater. And yet, as soon as I loved the opening, I think I saw it with Holdenwook. As soon as because we both loved these franchises. Which, by the way, Friday the 13th, I also saw for the first time at Holdenwook's grandparents' house. They had a little place out back called the Tiny House, and it backed up to the woods. And he fell asleep, and I finished it on tape and jumped so much. Every Tuesday in your mom's red Jeep to Best Buy. That's right. Yes, absolutely. And I remember watching, Will, you remember this, the Tiny House. I remember we rented Friday the 13th, and I think we watched 2 movies. That was the second one. I stayed up and scared the shit out of me. Okay, so yes, Freddy vs. Jason. I loved the opening, and then as soon as the terrible nu metal song starts for the title, I was like, oh. And I kind of am not sure how much I like this movie. What do you think?
I have to say I feel similarly. Yeah, I didn't love it.
Okay, so this movie operates, for those who maybe haven't seen it, it's from the director Ronnie Yu of Bride with White Hair 1 and 2. He's a Chinese director, and a lot of the filmmaking style, some of the stuff I didn't like as youngin. I appreciated stylistically, kind of seeing it through that lens of like, this is like, okay, I get how this is this is a Hong Kong action director. I can see that. It's maybe not American style, but I can dig it. So I think that part, the filmmaking itself, I'm totally with.
Yeah,
it's the script, man.
The script is.
It's the script.
The script is. Like I said, like I prefaced this with, I last year just watched the first 3 Nightmare movies, and just this past week watched the first 4 Friday movies, and I was like.
What did you expect?
10 minutes into the movie, I paused. Well, first of all, I love the opening again with that kind of like very close up with the like contacts and sort of blue, icy version of Freddy, which was cool. It was like, is he cool enough from hell, or what's going on here? I was like stoked, and then I feel like we had the same response, which probably means we need to stop spending so much time together. But yeah, like 10 minutes in the movie, I was like, can we pause? And I turned to Adam and I'm like, am I supposed to know what this backstory is?
Yeah, no.
I was like, is this from one of the movies?
But I actually like the backstory.
No, I like the backstory too, and it's cool that it reveals itself throughout the course of the movie. But it was also confusing to be like, wait, are we supposed to know who these guys are, or how they
I think that might just be because you didn't come in fully prepared for it to be a whole new packaged lunch of kids for you.
Yeah,
like it wasn't going to be connected. It was going to, and that I can respect that choice. Like, I think all of us probably went into this as fans, thinking, oh, it's going to be about, like you said, they're going to be the protagonists, but they're not. We get another packaged lunch group of teenagers to kill off, which I feel like makes sense.
Yeah.
That's generally our entry point, and it makes sense that a girl struggling with her dreams is our entry point, and that Freddy gets to frame it because Jason is a plot device. Jason, you put him anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Freddy is a framing device.
Yeah.
Jason's a plot device, and that's how they structure them in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And I will say that this movie is not without rad moments, like cool moments, fun moments. Definitely like some fun stuff, some fun effects. But then there were just too many moments where I was like taken out of it.
Well, is it all the CG?
The CG, the moment with like the Freddy worm.
Really, it's a caterpillar. It's supposed to be like the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland.
Right, because it's the guy who's like the
stoner kid.
The stoner kid,
yeah.
the Jabe knockoff.
Yeah, except not as entertaining, and it would have been a way better character. Can we talk about that? Okay, sorry.
Wait,
go ahead.
I just want to say that moment in particular, like with the caterpillar, the Alice in Wonder or whatever caterpillar. God, if that had been like a latex creature practical effect moment, that would have fucking whipped. But that scene alone, I was like, is this what we're doing? Yeah. And I get that at the time it was like probably like, whoa.
Nope, not at all.
Okay, see, I can't contextualize this movie at all because this is, when did this come out?
I don't think anybody.
This is the time when I just was not. I am late to the game.
No one I've ever known, with the exception of something like Avatar or maybe a Lord of the Rings, which is a lot of practical effects. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever had friends who have been like, whoa, about CG stuff past the age of like 12.
Yeah.
I think the last time that happened was Mortal Kombat when Sub-Zero used his P. Because I think all of us were bummed because we this movie wants to be what we all remember, but it can't help but do so from the sheen of this 2000. Did I already go on my rant about how the aughts were kind of soulless because of 9/11? I touched on it early, right?
You touched on it earlier, and I could not agree more that it's just sort of like this callous, weirdly self-important.
It's brutalistic.
Yeah, just sort of. Feel free to go on that rant. I did have something.
Well, I might be saying the same thing because not only did you want to talk about men all being insufferable, all the boys in this are so, either drama queens or aggro dudes. But there's also this like, I think it is the vibe that permeates the whole thing is just so like Bush era, Iraq War era, just darkness, torture. Yeah. Like this is the era of Hostel and Saw, which I do think actually those movies are a lot smarter and have something to say. But this movie's like just shocking us for the sake of shocking us. It's being dark because it can be. It's got like Freddy saying outwardly racist things that don't need to be said. That Freddy doesn't need to go there.
That's true.
But the thing that tips you off right away. Yeah, there's a little moment with Kelly Rowland. It's not good.
Yeah.
But
also,
the thing that tips you off in this movie, and this is what I think might trigger what you were thinking of, is that it, in terms of the CG, it doesn't understand. It says CG's on my toolkit, so why wouldn't I use it? It doesn't understand that it's not what we're here for. And the movie throughout, I think that's a theme of this, is that it doesn't understand what we're here for. And maybe that is because the director was making movies in Hong Kong for Chinese audiences in the years in which the slasher was hugely popular. So what we have instead is almost like this mishmash of what the slasher genre could be. We've got a boxed lunch of kids that aren't they're clumsy archetypes. But the thing that clues you off right away is, like we said earlier, the running joke is girls taking their top off for no reason. You get it in this movie, and the first thing you see in this movie are a boob job.
Okay.
And right away, it's the same with CG and practical effects. We didn't show up for the boob job right away, and right away I feel as though some Hollywood bros are trying to interpret what I like through their world.
Right. Yeah. So that's definitely something I wanted to talk about, to touch on. You can't even see this anymore, so I don't know if it's worth. Having watched Freddy 1 through 4 back to back, and then watching Freddy vs. Jason and seeing the boob job, like seeing all the beautiful natural breasts,
80s boobies,
70s and 80s boobies. I guess those are all 80s boobies, but then going into this stark juxtaposition of fake breasts.
Everything's fake. Color correction, CG, fake breasts, immediately.
It all, right off the bat.
And no shame to people who've had work done.
No.
But right off the bat, it's synthetic.
However, also there's this sort of like little baby tangent about Kelly Rowland wanting a nose job, and that's her dream, where she's flipping through the magazine, and it's all like visuals of women with the little, dots of liposuction, and get your face lifted and all this. I remember girls in high school. This is 2003. This is when I was in high school. Girls in high school saving money to get a boob job when they were 18 in the early aughts. In the early aughts, it was like, that was so prevalent.
And this is where our president comes from too.
Plastic surgery
is that hollow era.
So prevalent. And in this movie, it's like,
oh, it's right there, and it's played up like she does, and I'm not complaining like that. Like, this is a funny joke. It's funny for her. It's Jason. It's what we're seeing in the context of the movie is Freddy planting a scenario for Jason to tempt him, and so it's a funny parody to have a girl undo her shirt and wave. But it is weirdly just feels a little off right away that the first thing we see are a color corrected screen that we're not used to, synthetic boobs, and some CG right off the bat. And to its credit, the movie still does use practical blood throughout, but
yeah, it just to quickly like circle back on the plastic surgery and the early aughts obsession with plastic surgery. It sort of like reminded me how intense that was, in these formative years of thinking, like, especially as a smaller chested woman, like, and seeing all these films, all especially like Scream knockoffs and remakes and things like that, where you see these women who are supposed to be in high school who are played by 20 and 30-year-old women in their 20s and 30s with boob jobs and with facelifts and with nose jobs.
But not Nev Campbell.
Not Nev Campbell.
Not Sydney.
Not Cindy. Cindy.
Cindy.
Not Sydney.
Cindy. Not her either. Cindy is from Scary Movie. That's Anna Faris.
Oh yeah, that's true. It just sort of like shocked me back into that, teenage me thinking like, being obsessed with my boobs, never, like the idea that my boobs were never going to be big enough, because in every movie you saw in the early aughts, it was like boobs, 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 big boobs, fake boobs, big boobs, fake boobs, 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 boobs. And it's different than like 70s and 80s boobs in a weird way. It just feels, I think that the fact that they were all had to, like, one size fits all, and that one size was typically augmented. Anyways,
well, I think that it also, I think that is also, but I think you're also talking about like a latter day genre loop, because I think that actually in Scream they say one of the first lines in Scream, Drew Barrymore on the phone, is it's always the big titted bimbo running up the stairs when she should be running out the front door. And so as soon as those words are spoken, we enter into everyone who's a little Scream copycat is going to say, oh, the parody is a big titted bimbo, and then that becomes like the joke, and then you end up putting what's her name? Oh my God, Jenny McCarthy in Scary Movie, because to play the role of someone with big boobs, and then you end up casting to it, and then it becomes its own self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right?
It's actually funny.
The big-titted bimbo just the thing that replaces like the promiscuous or sexually liberated?
Well, it's just Drew Barrymore's word for that for 80s
No,
girl.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but it's interesting because the main I forget.
Oh yeah. It's like you can. It's like we'll no longer punish women for having sex. That's normal. But if you're a slut about it, like that's the change.
But
with
also, it's interesting that in
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Freddy vs. Jason, I forgot her character's name.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Oh yeah, I love Jennifer Love Hewitt. What is the main?
And Will said that he remembered being so hyped leading up to the release of this, but remembers almost nothing about it, and that probably reflects how he feels about it. I don't remember the main character's name. It doesn't matter.
I can't remember her name, but it's interesting that she is like chaste and a virgin, but there's so much focus on her breasts the whole movie.
Well, I mean, these movies are all about sex. They're all about sex, like the potential energy of sexuality that's there, and it's going to come out in one way or another. It's going to explode in violence or not. Yeah. And when these girls, I think they're trying, when these girls like defeat the bad guy, her at the end, she straight up does penetrate Jason. Yeah. And it's them taking on the penetrative like show, and there's a problematic nature in that too of like, and that's a very aughts sort of feminism is like once the woman becomes violent, it's harkening back to 70s, which again we're in Vietnam versus Iraq, so I think there's a wartime mentality here. Yeah. But it's once the woman becomes violent and penetrates, then she is a fully realized character finally, and deserves her victory. Yeah. Do you want to do this giveaway?
Let's do this giveaway.
Welcome back. Do you even want to crack this fucking nut open?
I don't think we should tonight.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll just throw a giant monkey wrench. And here's the beautiful thing about film theory and genre theory and talking, is that at any moment you can say, you know what? Fuck everything you've been saying because this exists. So let's throw Sleepaway Camp into the mix and let's start talking about queer horror. Maybe next week we can dedicate some time to queer horror and what that means. And hey, maybe that's in submission for possible theme for the week.
Yeah, I've got, at this point I have like
you have a lot of theme ideas.
3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 suggestions for theme ideas.
Okay.
So.
Well, we have 6 people here, so everyone gets a vote. It's okay if you want to lurk, but if you do want to drop in the chat for a chance to win this sweater, not this one, we have some fresh ones. We just need you to drop a number if you're still here. Thank you for being here. If you are, you're tuned into UltraLoop. Yeah. Please. Oh, Pathos was going to say creature features, which we almost.
That's on my list.
It's on the list. We'll get to it. Okay. Pardon me.
Is this that Perrier?
Oh, AOC is streaming games right now. Yes, the Perrier is delicious. Okay. Oh. We got a good group of people here. Thank you for being with us. Let's give this away. Everyone, if you'd like to enter to win one of these, and we will ship it to you for free, just enter a number in the chat in between 1 and 3,000. Any number. 2,000. Let's make it higher. Let's make the pool bigger.
3,000.
1 in 3,000. Price is Right rules do not apply. Whoever is numerically closest will win. Okay? Whoever is that, and we'll go ahead and say do that. Got a couple minutes to do that. And while y'all are doing that, let's talk about what our staff picks are.
Yeah, okay.
And now I have something to write with, so I can actually... by the way, the number is written down on this, so we have it. It's predetermined.
No one saw it.
No one sees that, right? Don't cheat. Don't be a cheater now.
Don't be a cheater
now. That would be so naughty of you. What did I say mine might be earlier? I got all hyped on it.
Oh, man. Frick if I know.
Hooba dooba. Okay.
What were we talking about? We were talking about Peeping Tom, or Peeping, Pussy.
We were talking about scary movies. We're talking about scary movies, Stephanie.
We're talking about...
Okay.
Peeping Tom.
Peeping Tom.
And then you said, oh.
I'll remember.
Return to Horror High?
Nah.
Slither?
Nah.
Uzumaki? Blood Beach?
No, it's none of those. I can read. I see him over there. Okay, we have, I think, our players. Okay, let's see here. So we have Xander Lauren with 678. Pathos. I'm gonna have to do some math here. We're gonna have to see who's closest because I'm not doing this in my head because some of y'all are pretty close. All right, so 678 minus our number is a difference of 750. Ooh. 2163 minus our number is a difference of 735. Ooh, coming in close. Ooh. I like the leet in here. Leet may have gotten you the win, Holden Wook, because it's only a difference of 91. And finally, 1894 minus our number is a difference of 466.
That was close.
Very close, y'all.
Closer than I was expecting.
Me too. So, tied for last place, we'll say Xander and Pathos, you were both off by an average of 743. Great job, nerds. You were off by 466. And Holden Wook with Leet, you take the win, being only 91 off. The number was, of course, Nancy's address from Elm Street, 1428 Elm Street. 1428 Elm Street. So we are going to go ahead and mail that to you, Will. I think it's safe to say that I can get, I know where you live. I can get your address easily because I could call your mom and ask for it, or you can just message me your address or drop it in the chat. And hey, maybe someone else will say, don't do that. We did not talk about Sunshine. You've been pushing the Sunshine agenda, Vineet, and I'm loving it. Sunshine, we watched that, right? It's just interesting because Sunshine is a multi-genre. Basically, the third act is a slasher movie.
Tell me about that?
The Let's Reignite the Sun through a giant spaceship movie. We watched it. It's one of my favorite movies. We watched it early when we were dating. Yeah. Yeah, it's got Cillian Murphy in it. Yeah, we definitely watched it. It's got Chris Evans in it. I'm so sad that you don't remember it, actually, because it's so good.
Oh!
There it is. Yeah, we watched it.
Oh, I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like 3 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Rose Byrne. Okay, yeah, congratulations, Will, on the sweater.
Congrats, Will.
We're going to send it to you. Yes, I hope you enjoy. It is a Mondo Tees sweater. It's out of print. And it is a cardigan style, which is kind of a cool new way. So it's not a straight up Freddy sweater. It's fashionable. Wear it any time of the year. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it is officially licensed.
But it is officially licensed. Indeedly do. Okay. What are our staff picks? Oh, I think mine was maybe going to be Holy Mountain. Was that it?
Holy Mountain. Maybe that was it, because we were talking about Jodorowsky.
Yes. Okay, well, I don't know what I want my staff pick to be yet. Let's talk about movie club stuff. Unless you want to, I don't know. Who cares?
What
do you want to talk about?
I want to do staff
Okay, you want to do staff picks? Well, you go.
Okay, so I was saying that I wanted to do a staff pick that was inspired by this week's theme.
Right.
Because it was on the noggin. But I couldn't decide what my staff pick would be. I have it narrowed down to 4 movies.
Sweet. 4
movies are And Then There Were None from 1945.
Oh, yeah.
Popcorn, Blood and Black Lace, and Suspiria.
Those are all very good choices. I would recommend all those.
I know. Me too.
Will does have a Freddy claw. Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Ooh, I love that.
Hoip!
Gosh, they're all so good.
They are all so good. What is your heart telling you is the... Okay, so here's something that is an exercise that I did. Because... I actually got in trouble at the video store I worked at because, let me show you something real quick.
Because you got too hype.
I got too hype.
Okay.
I got in playful trouble. What I'm showing you is, this is my old Nightmare on Elm Street box set. Okay? You've seen it. Now, inside of this, I store this. Oops.
The last one from my list, Suspiria?
This is a staff pick sign from 2005 when I worked at a video store. And it was when I put Nightmare on Elm Street in my staff picks. The reason I got in trouble is because there were only a concrete, limited number of these, and I changed my staff picks so often that the boss was like, Adam, I hate printing more of those. Please stop changing your staff picks.
Was it in Sharpie?
Yeah.
Oh.
So what I'm telling you is my sympathies are with you because if anyone ever wrestled for which one to make his staff pick that week, it's me.
Well,
and what I always ask myself is, what do you think? Ask yourself two things. Okay. What have people not seen or not, like, what your job is to recommend and curate something, not tell people something. You know, don't put Ghostbusters in your staff picks. Why?
Right.
Recommend it, but also what sparks joy in you.
Okay, my list for potential staff picks that are all on the brain right now are And Then There Were None from 1945, based on the Agatha Christie novel. Popcorn from 91, I believe. Blood and Black Lace from 64, and Suspiria. I don't know the year of Suspiria.
Popcorn, Blood and Black Lace here. Let me be your Vanna White.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we have a copy of And Then There Were None, but we rented it?
Yeah, it's streaming. Suspiria from, I want to say, 77? Yeah, 77, same year as Star Wars. And Blood and Black Lace, 64. Beautiful Technicolor.
It's so tough. Oh, man. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take Suspiria off because I feel like odds are most people have seen this, correct?
It's on a lot of best horror movies lists.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it is amazing. It deserves it.
That's a recommendation, a hard recommendation, but I think, and so is And Then There Were None, but I think it's down to these two for my staff picks. If I'm going to be honest. Man, this is hard.
So, are y'all out there more intrigued by a self-referential early 90s slasher comedy set in a movie theater where a film fest is happening, or watch the XLR?
Oh, hello.
Or the first color giallo movie, an Italian movie from the 60s about violence at a dance studio filmed in glorious Technicolor.
Oof. You know? Okay, you know what? I think I know what I'm going to do, and I think I know why.
Well, spit it, girl.
My pick's Popcorn.
Oh, Popcorn.
My pick is Popcorn, and here's why. Because, you know, we're nearing the end of October, and chances are a lot of us have been watching a lot of horror. We just wrapped up our slasher week, and while this is technically a slasher, it's fun, it's, pun intended, poppy.
It's a comedy. It's
a comedy, and it's great, and I hadn't seen it until earlier this year, and I didn't know it existed until earlier this year, so chances are maybe somebody out there has never seen it or potentially even never heard of it. So my staff pick is Popcorn from 1991.
I think so, yeah. It's also got the best cover.
Yes, I love the cover. Love. That's the thing that actually... Y'all know I'm an aesthetics kind of gal. I cannot stop talking about cover art.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I have made fun of you for, you know, being like, look at this box art.
Never make fun of me for enjoying box art.
But here's the rub, the butter rub. Is Popcorn available anywhere?
I think Popcorn is actually on Prime, and it might be free. Yeah.
Okay.
Popcorn's out there. Stream it on Prime.
You know what? Maybe next week, like Benit's suggesting, maybe next week, my staff pick will be a double feature of these two. Who knows? Come back.
I like it. Amazing. Okay, so what is my staff pick? Oh my goodness.
You were talking about Holy Mountain.
I was talking about Holy Mountain. I like how you're giving people a break from the madness. I kind of like this, like, let's do a two roads diverged sort of thing here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're giving people a break from the madness, I almost want to send people further down a dark rabbit hole. But I'm torn, Stephanie. I really don't know. You know what? I actually might know. I think I have one that is further down the rabbit hole in terms of scariness for a slasher, while at the same time, being something that I think not enough people have heard of. I think it's a really fantastic A super fantastic slasher. Stars Klaus Kinski, already creepy. He plays a creepy old Nazi in hiding who runs a tenant building, runs an apartment building, and stalks and kills his tenants by crawling through the air ducts. It's only 80 minutes long. It's called Crawl Space. It is fantastic. Crawl Space is Adam's staff pick of the week, and this is streaming on Prime, I believe, for free as well. I know it's on there because all the Shout Factory ones are streaming on Prime.
And we'll double check this before we make our posts about staff picks where you can watch them, right?
Yeah, we'll double check. But I am pretty sure that both of these you can find on Amazon.
Cool.
Not to support Amazon, but of course by being on Twitch we already are. Okay, so those are ours. Now we need to land on a theme. So thank you for exploring the slasher. Oh my god.
Yes.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have to highlight those out. God, I don't even know how to do Twitch highlights.
I've done it before.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
And also, if you're in the chat and you're ever watching something, you can clip stuff out.
Oh, yeah.
If you're ever like, whoa, a clip.
Yeah.
clip.
I was going to clip your
Second wave feminism. As it relates to the
TED Talk.
The popular slasher films.
Yeah, brilliant.
Rant.
Yeah. Cool. And probably my own Scream one because I said something in it that I hadn't thought of before and I want to remember what it was.
Awesome.
Okay, what's our theme?
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about...
Oh, yeah, you got them.
Okay, so here are my pitches for themes, and some of these I came up with throughout the week, and some of these I jotted down as we talked today. They were inspired directly by our conversations, either between Adam and I or, among all of us here and in the chat. So, we've got a horror grab bag based on a decade.
Ooh, okay.
So like an 80s grab bag or a 90s grab bag, 70s, whatever. You get the point.
That's fun. Okay, I'm going to write these. Should I write? Well,
write
no.
In the chat.
Okay. I'll just say decade grab bag.
We got a decade grab bag. Creature features, which was mentioned by...
Pathos.
I believe Pathos. Let's see. Scroll. Anthologies or remakes. Or remakes.
I feel like those should be different categories.
Okay. We've got pre-Haze horror.
Oh, interesting.
That's just a wild card that I'm throwing out there. Scream copycats.
I'm going to call them rip-offs and be less generous.
All right. Sleepover. And queer horror.
All right, y'all. Shall we put it up to a vote? Shall I create a poll? What do you think? Or should we just talk this through?
I think if something jumps out to you, whether you're in the chat or you, Adam, obviously I think all of these are pretty dope.
Yeah. Specifically for Adam, post-2010 horror. Hey, I've seen a good amount of post-2010 horror. I just, maybe I should learn a little bit more there. I should watch a little bit more post-2010 horror. I'm going to look up...
Hey, Pathos, would you make a poll? That would be great.
Thank you, Pathos. Yes. And I'm just going to look up... I never recommend 2010s horror because it never jumps front to mind. But let me look through some of these. I looked up 2010s horror movies. I love Cabin in the Woods.
We've been meaning to watch Happy Death Day.
Need to watch Happy Death Day for sure.
Midsummer.
Midsummer I do need to see. Hereditary was solid. Didn't love it. It reminded me a little too much of Rosemary's Baby.
Us.
Get Out. Us we haven't seen. Get Out.
La Llorona. The Halloween remake.
Yeah, there's a Black Christmas remake too. I do want to rewatch that Halloween remake.
What is that?
It's
Killer Clowns thing?
No, it's a Rob Zombie movie.
No. I don't know why I sounded so disappointed.
Free from Hell. Seen Mandy. I feel like I've seen a good amount of these. I just never think to recommend them. I just think it's just not my... Oh, Evil Dead, that remake was incredible. I just never think to recommend them. I don't know why. I just don't really enjoy the aesthetic of aughts, like the aughts genre stuff as much. I don't know why. Your Next is also fantastic.
Guest.
The Guest. I don't know if I've seen The Guest.
I'm not sure. That sounds really familiar. I can't put my finger on why.
I do. If you, Vineet, though, you should just I mean, I know you've recommended some stuff. I do want to, like, I don't want to be the guy who doesn't, like, watch things. I think I've definitely had a bias. But that's just because
you do have, for sure, about certain genres and certain, I'd say, more modern things you're not always as keen on.
I think I just get...
And by modern, I mean recent. Contemporary, rather.
I just think I don't, like... It's not that older movies are not better. That would be a stupid thing to say. It's patently stupid on its face. We tend to remember... I'm just so interested in the evolution of things that I think I just flock to those. And I just don't trust any sort of vetting system. So sometimes I don't watch newer things because I never know if I'll feel it's worth my time or not. Mm-hmm. Older things are easier to vet. I don't just... If something's on the front page of Netflix, it's marketing. It's not... and I feel like that marketing, as we associate it with if you have a Netflix original next to Silence of the Lambs on Netflix, you're going to start to associate the two. And then I just feel like scripts have gotten, a lot of genre scripts I'm just less interested in.
But, I hear that. I think that's valid. Yeah,
there's a little bit of that never age past the music you listened to in high school. That's true. That's what I want to check. I do need to, yeah. It's the way I feel, but I need to keep it in check. I don't want to turn into that dude either, Yeah. I will say, 2020 had... me too. 2020 had some unexpected gems, though. I'm not, like, not watching new shit. Birds of Prey whipped ass.
All right, looks like the Pole Tool, another theater warm-up for us.
Oh, Pole Tool.
Pole Tool's awful. Only have 5 options, so that's a no-go. Okay, so just to quickly... review our options. We have a decade grab bag that can be any decade,
including the teens.
Creature features, anthologies, remakes, pre-haze horror,
which means 20s, 30s horror,
scream ripoffs, sleepover trouble, or queer horror.
Okay,
these are all great options.
I would think like queer horror, we'd immediately be starting with some Nightmare 2. We'd probably end up rewatching a few Chucky movies. Sleepaway Camp. Let's see, Scream ripoffs. We got our Urban Legends. We got our I Know What You Did Last Summer. We're really continuing down slasher road if we do that. It's a lot more teens getting sliced and diced.
That's true.
Pre-haze horror. We're gonna see some of the Universal classics, which hey, always game. They rule. Stuff like Freaks, some silent horror, Nosferatu, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, this old dark house, Cat and the Canary. L'Inferno, which is the first Italian movie and an adaptation of Inferno by Dante, is incredible and horrifying. A lot of great stuff in there. Remakes, we could go across the board. We could do 80s. We could do 80s remakes, the holy trinity of 80s remakes, the 3 best remakes of all time, The Thing, The Fly, and The Blob. And then we could also definitely, by then, we'll probably be getting to the Friday remake. There's a few remakes I haven't checked out.
Yeah, we could do that with the caveat that you have to watch the original before you watch the remake.
Or not. I mean,
I would like that, because I would like to see...
That's true. I just don't want to, like, I think...
Well, that's I feel like that's more of a personal thing, because I don't want to watch the remake unless I've seen the original.
I get that, but Hollywood has remade so many things that you've probably seen so many things that are remakes that you're unaware there was an original for.
Yeah, that's fair.
And me too. Like, I'm just saying, like, I in general don't want to poo-poo remakes for the sake of being remakes, because it's a Hollywood tradition since the 20s.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are remakes. So specifically with horror remakes, there's a few like that are completely different, like The Fly, and then there's a few that are just technologically advanced, like The Blob, and then we've got our new wave to our post-Scream ones too.
Yeah, we got some stuff coming in here. We've got Vineet says, I like creatures, scream ripoff, and queer horror. Followed up by I Saw Knife and Heart recently, which was a queer French slasher horror set in the 80s. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Pathos says, decade grab bag, creature features, anthology. Oh, Pathos is just listing.
Oh, thanks, Pathos.
Thank you.
So we have...
So drop in the chat, 1 for decade grab bag, 2 for creature features, 3 for anthologies, 4 for pre-haze horror, 5 for scream ripoffs, 6 sleepover trouble, 7 queer horror, and 8 remakes. So it looks like Vineet has got a 2, a 5, and a 7. And looks like Pathos is voting 8.
Yes, I think we just have one for each right now.
All
right, well, let's talk about what this means. Creature features. That's a big category. We can do stuff as silly as Orca the Killer Whale and other Jaws ripoffs. We could also do a lot of Alien movies. And we could even get into some kaiju. Wouldn't mind busting into that Gamera box set. Scream, once again, I am dying for an excuse to watch Urban Legend and Final Destination this year.
Can I say that I'm kind of drawn to Scream ripoff? Which is perhaps why I suggested it, because, and I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I'm watching all these movies for the first time.
Right.
And we've been watching this year and last year, and even a little bit the year before, we've been watching a lot of 70s and 80s.
True.
And I've never seen Urban Legend. I've never seen I Know What You Did Last Summer.
But see, those are both slashers also. The thing with Scream ripoffs is that they're all slashers other than Final Destination. So we've kind of covered the ground.
Yeah.
I feel like we won't have I'm worried that we won't have a fresh convo. I think you and I should watch those movies because I have a Blu-ray of Urban Legend coming and we should talk about it on the show. I just don't know if it's strong enough to justify theme.
But it could be like genre theory and like art as imitation, and we could talk about...
We covered so much of that tonight. I'm not going to have anything new to add other than these movies are a lot like Scream.
We could just have a week where we kind of just talk about the movies instead of the theory.
Well, that's true. I mean, you're really pushing for this Scream.
I'm not. I only say because Vineet says mark another for Scream ripoff. We've got which one of these categories would Ex Machina fall into, do you think? I love creature features.
Wait, the other for Scream ripoff would... Well, Vineet, your original vote was for Scream ripoff, so another one would be your vote?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, we're just, chitting and chatting. We're just discussing.
We have 2 votes for creature, 1 for Scream, 1 for remakes, 1 for queer. And the 2 for Scream would be if one of your votes is for Scream. I get that you want to do that. My only concern is that I'm thinking of like the variety, and it's going to be a lot of slashers. And I feel like but we can watch those movies. I'm saying we could watch those movies and talk about them as movies in the What We Watch segment of the show early on without them having to drive the theme. Because the theme, like, aren't we looking for some connective tissue between these movies? And, like, I don't think we'd come up with a whole lot of new stuff talking about.
I hear you.
Unless you just want to make it 90s. Unless you want to... You know what we could do? Here... Okay.
Hey. Decade grab bag, 1990s?
That's what I'm saying. There's your cake and eat it too. There's your cake and eat it too, as if we call Scream the 90s. Yes, you read my mind.
All right, so let's narrow it down to decade grab bag, 1990s, and creature features.
Down.
So creature features, if you want that, drop a 1 in the chat. If you want a decade grab bag, a 1990s grab bag horror, anything 90s horror related, drop a 2 in the chat.
And Pathos says, theme, what's your favorite horror movie, and gush about it. Pathos, do that anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, my brain's getting sleepy times. Perfect.
We're approaching 3 hours.
We are.
So it makes sense. That's about the time when we start getting sleepy time.
Yeah. All right, well...
do you want to drop that in the chat? A 1 for creature features, a 2 for 90s?
Creature features or 90s? 1. Or just write those words.
Whatever floats your boat.
Okay, the options, Pathos, were creature features or 90s grab bag, which includes all the Scream knockoffs. Mm-hmm. FYI. So it's kind of like, now I'm kind of leaning towards it because now that you put that justification on it, I'm like, well, there's a lot of 90s creature features too. Because you think of things like creature features, you want to watch the Species movies, which someone dropped. Well, there you go. It's a 90s movie. You get creature features and slashers if you pick 90s. I'm saying you want to watch Species 2, plenty of other monster movies, The Relic. Then you get to do that because they're from the 90s. So creature features could be part of 90s.
Hey, looks like we have a new poll. Thank you, Pathos.
Okay, so I'm voting for 90s grab bag. I don't know if you want to vote on there. Anyone else who wants to vote? Because 90s also includes Tremors, which is a creature feature. Okay.
Let's give it just another minute.
Okay. Oh, and Vineet says queer horror would be a dope genre. Sleepaway Camp, Rocky Horror, Silence of the Lambs. Sleepaway Camp, Rocky Horror for sure.
Intersection of 90s grab bag and queer horror?
Well, yeah. Yes, we do.
I mean, we have Chucky.
Yeah, we got more than that. Let me grab this.
Looks like we got 90s grabbers. 90s,
oh,
90s,
Nightbreed.
90s.
Nightbreed is some queer horror, too.
I think we have our theme. We have 90s grab bag. 90s horror grab bag for next week.
Yes.
This is going to be fun, y'all.
It is. We're going to come up with a really...
Lesbian vampires.
That's from the 70s.
Sign me up.
You want us to be signed up? It's right over there. It's called Daughters of Darkness. That's the movie they're talking about.
It's THO.
Oh my god, we can watch Heavenly Creatures.
SON.
Okay, here's a few queer horror movies, y'all. Nightbreed from the 90s. Nightbreed, Nadia, which is a vampire story, Interview with a Vampire, Heavenly Creatures, Peter Jackson's movie about these...
Killer Condom!
Yes, and Killer Condom! Because I forgot Killer Condom is a queer horror movie. It's about a gay detective tracking down a condom who's killing people in the gay community.
This is a fun theme.
Yes, okay, this rules. Thank you to everyone who's been here. Okay, so... You've probably seen this flashing to follow us on Instagram. I am Protextor. That's my last name.
Hold on.
Protextor. Well, I'm getting to it.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, what is the movie club?
Oh no. Sorry. Oh yeah. Good point. I was gonna say follow me on Instagram before we lose too many viewers to the night.
Oh right.
Because that's where we will post our full curated list of 90s movies we recommend to watch.
And
obviously,
our stat picks.
And our stat picks, all that. So that's on my Insta. That's why I'm plugging it first.
Gotcha.
Okay, so movie club pick. What do we make our movie club pick? What one 90s movie are we obsessed with? Do you just want to make it Urban Legend?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm down.
I can't guarantee Urban Legend's going to get here from Shout. Let me look and see if it's shipped. And if it's shipped, we can call it.
Well, while he looks that up, if you have anything off the top of the dome for 90s horror grab bag, which is now our theme for the coming week.
Hell yeah.
Please drop it in the chat. Otherwise, we might be having Urban Legend.
Or we can pick anything from the 90s. The future is ours.
I mean, this is exciting.
I'm really excited. I'm more excited about this week's theme than anything. Order taken, still not shipped. Okay, well, you know.
I feel like you're the authority here, so.
Heavenly Creatures is great.
You know, I turn to you when it comes to.
Oh, Holdenwook says he watched Congo a few weeks ago. It didn't hold up. I've never seen Congo. I've never seen it. That sounds fun too. I feel like that's sci-fi action. Oh my god, we can watch Carnosaur. Speaking of sci-fi action on the horror edge, we got a lot of options. Okay, 90s horror. What is... Oh wow. 90s horror. When I think of a 90s horror movie that I love, I think of Scream.
Yeah. I feel like we've all seen Scream.
When's the last time you all watched Scream? I mean, I guess we've probably all seen it.
I think we've all seen it. I mean, we obviously can't rewatch it and talk about it, but
Scream 90s horror.
Event Horizon, baby.
Event Horizon is so good and so fun. Oh wow, that's a contender.
Is that a horror movie?
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. It's an outer space horror movie.
Ooh, scary.
Oh, People Under the Stairs. Idle Hands. Final Destination. You've seen that, right? Final Destination?
Yeah.
You seen The Frighteners?
No.
You haven't seen The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox, Peter Jackson's first American movie?
No, this is new territory to me.
Okay, I'm not shaming you. It'd be against the code to shame you. The Frighteners was supposed to be a Tales from the Crypt movie. Event Horizon's a good one too. Man, I'm torn. Those would be
The Faculty.
The Faculty. It is from the 90s as well. I want to pick The Faculty, but I've seen it. I've watched it. We actually almost put it on the other night, and then we're like, wait, have we watched this every Halloween for the past 5 years?
Yeah.
The Haunting is 1999.
I've never seen the original It.
I mean, it's an HBO made-for-TV movie. I've never seen it all the way either. I think as a kid, I have watched it. Dang, these are all so good. It's just so long. I don't want to ask people to watch a 4.5-hour movie.
It is a 4.5-hour movie?
The first one is. It's a HBO miniseries.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
I had no idea.
Almost 3. It's long. It's a long one. Event Horizon is really good. Army of Darkness we just watched. Ugh, I just want to pick something that is like fresh enough, like maybe unfamiliar but fresh feeling, you know? Like, what is the one I just got so excited about?
Urban Legend?
No.
Frighteners?
Frighteners. Yeah. Frighteners is so fun. Frighteners is Peter Jackson, man, going buck wild. Oh, you're good, Will. I'm trying to think of something like 90 minutes. Arachnophobia, no, that's wrong. I saw it as a little kid. Barely remember.
What about,
God, these are good suggestions.
What about, can you scroll to the right?
Oh, Tales from the Hood.
Tales from the Hood. Cube?
No, not Cube. Anything but Cube. Nightbreed. Nightbreed is so good.
What am I thinking of? Maybe I'm like totally like, oh, that's lame. But when did that? God, this is so embarrassing. Blair Witch. Oh my God, mind meld. Hold and look. Blair Witch. That's what I was thinking of.
Blair Witch. That is a good one that I haven't watched in a
I
little
watched
while.
that at a party.
Oh, I need to see
got
that.
distracted by people wanting to play Spin the Bottle.
Oh dang! We watched House on Haunted Hill with Tay Diggs a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Cube is fun. Man, okay, I'm really drawn towards Event Horizon,
Let's do
Blair Witch Project.
I'm gonna say Blair Witch.
Okay. I'm drawn towards Blair Witch Project because I feel like we were talking earlier about Clerks, and I feel like if you're Blair Witch, we were talking earlier about 1999 and how every classic movie came out in 1999. We were talking about the Clerks being a black and white, low budget, like blowing open American indie cinema. So what better movie pick for our 90s week than a 1999 movie that was made on a shoestring budget and went butt nanners.
And sort of like, you know, at least if you were young enough, freaked people out.
Oh man, me and Will stayed up all night with all the lights on because we watched it when we were like 10.
Yeah, because it's like this.
No way, or like 12 or 13, I guess.
Is that the first horror that really leans into somebody making a documentary?
The found footage documentary? The found footage horror? No, that would be Cannibal Holocaust, gentle viewers. Cannibal Holocaust is a recovered footage horror movie.
And is it explicitly about somebody like making an amateur making a documentary?
It is. And Cannibal Holocaust is about a group of entitled Americans who go to a native village and torment and rape them while trying to make a documentary and end up being punished by the jungle. But it was so violent that it earned its director so violent and so well done as a found footage movie that it earned its director a spot in court where he had to produce his actors to prove they were alive.
Oh, snap. Okay. Well, it looks like we've got Vinny's saying those woods are near me in Maryland. That's really cool.
That's awesome. American Werewolf in Paris is 97. That's true, Pathos, but I watched it last week, and let me tell you, an American Werewolf in Paris.
You said that doesn't hold up.
It never held up. No shame in the game, but that movie had some problems.
All right, well, I'm excited.
I'm stoked.
So your staff pick is Crawl Space, mine is Popcorn. Our theme of the week is 90s horror grab bag. 90s grab bag, how fun. And our movie club pick is The Blair Witch Project.
Hell yeah. And no shame in American Werewolf in Paris, Pathos. I would have more love for it had we not done Werewolf Week, which unfortunately you missed.
Oh,
and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I went on a little rant about it last week. Oh, man. This feels good.
Yeah.
Thank you for summing that all up. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, honey. I didn't mind the weenus like you told me to.
I know. I was telling the chat that we assuming you're experiencing what I'm experiencing, which is very bad.
Oh, yeah. The allergies are killing. Okay, y'all. So here's the deal. You are tuned into UltraLoop on Twitch. We'd appreciate your subscription. We'd appreciate your notifications turned bing on, because we are here every Tuesday. Someone's at the video store, and we are here every Tuesday opening up the store for you to come and talk. We always do What'd You Watch This Week chat at the beginning, followed by some new arrivals if applicable, followed by movie club, and during October or Halloween month, theme weeks. I am one of the two hosts. My name is Adam Protextor.
And I am Adam's co-host, Stephanie Thoreson. Thank you, Vineet. This does feel good.
It does feel good. If you want to follow me on Insta, that's where we're going to recap all this, just in case you missed this episode or tune in and tune out, as people are wont to do on Twitch. And with that being said, we've been going for 3.5 hours. I think it's time that we call it a night.
Yep.
What do we normally say at the end of these things? Watch more movies, Black Lives Matter, get home safe, be kind, rewind.
Mm-hmm. Watch more movies, Black Lives Matter, get home safe, be kind, rewind.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.